You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Big week for us. Huge week for us.
Out of the shotgun, Harvard. Hands, Grant leaping for it. Officials coming in. They are marking him short again. That is advantage Illinois right there. And just at the last moment, touchdown Nebraska.
You know, you're so talented, you don't have to do that. There's some teams that are so talented, they have to get up for 3 or 4 games. We have to get up for every game.
Okay, so Nebraska bounce. Did the Cornhuskers pick it up? Nebraska's saying they have it. And they do. Wow.
Don't worry about what happens at the end of the year. Don't worry about what people are saying about you. Don't worry about the score. Just play football. You're a Cornhusker. Play football.
Harvard keeps a seam. Harvard lowers his head in the end zone. Touchdown for the Cornhuskers.
But once we figure this out, we're going to be a good team.
Allmeyer steps up, and he's wrapped up and brought down. John Bullock, the linebacker, comes up with a sack.
Crack a little bit, like on Saturday, right? Like just different teams, right? How do you respond to adversity? We just got a lot of our adversity early in the year. We responded to it. What I want to see is us now for 6 games embrace adversity.
Another low snap. Allmeyer steps up in the pocket. Throws middle. He's got his man, and a first down as the ball comes out. Tommy Hill has it going the other way, gets to his own sideline, and another big turnover for Nebraska's defense.
Those guys were ready to take the field. There was no worries. It was like, hey, they're going to go out there and ball, so let's go play.
Allmeyer running out of time. Goes sideline, it's intercepted. Another pick thrown by Allmeyer. Quentin Newsom on the stop, and he's down inside the 15-yard line. Newsom's first interception of the season.
I was flabbergasted. I was like, what?
If that gets you going, if the crowd gets you going, I'll adapt.
Good morning. Welcome in to Hurrdat Sports Radio. I'm Ravi Lulla. Andrew Rogers here with me. Shane Schillerberg with that fire open.
Yeah, Shane, that was a fire intro.
That was terrific. Really appreciate the work Shane puts in on those. We are live on AM 590, ESPN Omaha, and ESPN Tri-Cities. Twitter, YouTube, all the places. Andrew, what's up?
How you doing, man?
Good. How are
Every
you?
time I look over at you in the morning and I see you with the same spread of things, some things from your favorite fast food joint. I don't know if it's your favorite. I just kind of identified that out of nowhere.
It's my go-to right now.
But you eat the same thing in the morning. When are you going to get tired of eating that?
I don't know. It will happen. I do. I'm a hyper fixator, so I will eat the same thing over and over and over again until I get sick of it, and then I won't want it anywhere near me for an indiscriminate amount of time.
Is there a protein shake in there?
There's not. No.
Okay, that's just the blender bottle.
Yes. Yeah,
okay.
Correct.
So you have this is what Ravi brings in every morning. It is some type of breakfast food.
Yep. Fast food.
From a fast food joint. A large Diet Coke, right?
Yep.
You have your energy drink.
Yeah, I got my energy
to get you through the morning.
Yep.
I believe you have a backup Diet Coke.
I do, yeah. That's a backup Diet Coke.
And right now, because he is battling that thing going around, we like to call it a cold.
Seasonal cold.
He's got his giant bag of cough drops. Like they're bigger than the screen makes it look. Like that's not your normal size bag.
This is like the size of my face almost for comparison. So it's a good size bag.
But good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, no.
I have still yet to try the food that you always bring in, so I'm going to have to at some point.
Yeah, no, it's pretty tasty. I've recently found another alternative to what I'd been having, so I was like, okay, I'm in a little groove now. So we'll see how long it lasts. I don't know.
Cycle through the fast food joints a little bit.
Yeah, I kind of have to. I go through spurts where I just have the same thing over and over again, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I never want to see that again. At least until I decide I do. It's, I don't know. I think it's an ADHD thing or something, but
already TK chiming in. He's giving us his score prediction for this weekend.
I saw that. He's feeling it.
24-6 Nebraska. Do you think it's going to be that wide of a spread? Like, do you think they're going to easily cover the spread like that?
I hope so. I don't care about the spread as much as I care about what it looks like, right? I mean, because the spreads, I think it's down to like 11.5.
Is it?
Yeah, last I saw, maybe it's bounced back.
I've been on the 20-7 train for a couple of days now.
Yeah, you've been pretty consistent on that.
All I'm looking for, by game's end, is a W.
Yeah,
that's it.
First and foremost,
it could look as ugly as Illinois, but if there's a W, we can talk about cleaning up the mistakes another week.
Yeah, so it looks like it's down to 11.5. I think it was at 12 earlier, so not a lot of movement there. But I care more about first and foremost the W. Like you got to get W's. I've said this all year. Nebraska hasn't earned the right to win pretty yet, so they can you take the ugly dubs, right? Big Ten conference games have not come easily for Nebraska, especially on the road like they were against Illinois. I was like, hey, come on, let's quit complaining. That's a game Nebraska has lost every single time in the last 5 years. Just leave it alone. Take the win, quit complaining, right? You want them to clean stuff up? Absolutely. But I think there is value in playing a little badly and still winning because you can, right? We talk about the margin of error for this team. And I agree, it's not huge, right? You don't have a lot of guys right now that are like Caleb Williams is a really good example of this. USC has a ton of flaws, right?
But it makes up for it.
And I actually think their margin of error is really thin, but in a different way because they've got a guy like Caleb Williams that just kind of, paper maches over a lot of their flaws. Problem with that is paper mache tears pretty easy still, right? You saw that against in USC's last game against Notre Dame where if Caleb Williams isn't perfect,
you can call it how it was. It was bad.
Yeah, if he's not awesome, if he's not Heisman, gets compared to Patrick Mahomes' version of Caleb Williams, USC, it gets ugly pretty quick.
They aren't winning football games.
No, they're just not, right? So, the margin of error for Nebraska is really thin, but I don't know that we talk about other teams that way, the way we should. And so Nebraska survived a game in which they turned the ball over a bunch. They didn't get points in the red zone a bunch. They shot themselves in the foot with procedural penalties a bunch, whether you believe it was Illinois kind of baiting them into them or whatever. At some point, you still have to not do it, right? You still have to stop. And for me, coming away with a victory despite not playing perfect is a huge, I think that's really important mentally for the team because if you think you have to play perfect to win a game and then something goes wrong, then all of a sudden you're like, oh, we can't win anymore.
Well, that's the worst kind of confidence.
Because it's not confident.
If you
right?
are perfect, that's what's going to make me confident.
Yeah.
That's your belief. If you're perfect, I'll be confident. But if one thing then goes wrong, or maybe
it's a house of cards,
maybe
crumbles.
You go left when you were supposed to go right, it is a house of cards.
Yeah, it just comes crashing
because you go
down.
crashing to the ground.
Yeah, and so to me, that's not even confidence. That's conditional attitude. Mm-hmm. Confidence is being able to know, hey, things are going to go wrong. When they go wrong, we're going to be okay.
Now, do you think that there's the potential of a slow start because of the long break period that they have with the bye week? Or do you think it's kind of like a similar disadvantage because both teams had the bye last week? Because the way I look at it is when you have a team that has so much time to prepare for an opponent like Northwestern, sometimes you can end up playing down to your opponent. Because you spend so much time prepping, cleaning things up. Okay, now it's Northwestern. But, I also know it's Northwestern. So we can kind of sit back and relax a little bit. That's not obviously what they're pushing over in Lincoln.
Right.
But that can happen. That can easily happen because you come in thinking this is a dub.
Yeah, so my hope is that doesn't happen because that's a lot of what Coach Rule's been talking about this week, right? About how you respond not only when you get your butt kicked and you're like, hey, we have to go out there and we're embarrassed. We have to go fix that. It's like, how do you respond when you are coming off a win? I get the Illinois game wasn't, again, it was ugly, but that's a little bit of success. Nebraska hasn't handled little bits of success very well in recent history, and a lot of those guys are still on the team, right? So it's possible, and that's what we've seen, to be fair, that's what we've seen from this team in the past. What we'll find out about Nebraska, I think, tomorrow is whether or not Coach Rule's been able to change that mindset.
Either you crack this thing or you get cracked.
Like that, because that's what he's trying to do, right? He's trying to change the mindset of, I mean, and he said it all week, oh, Northwestern's a really good football team. That's not a good football team. I get he's talking to his players. I get that. Between you and me and the listeners, that's a bad football team. You know, the Minnesota game notwithstanding, which was they were down. Like, I understand they won, but in order to have a 3-touchdown comeback, you have to be down 3 touchdowns. Like, that's not a position you want to be in. And more often than not, that's going to be a loss. You've got a 3-point win over Howard, which is not a good team. Howard's not good.
And yet it come from behind in that game.
Had to come from behind, had to barely win that one. And then UTEP is their other win. It's like, listen, this is not a good Northwestern is not a good football team. Are they capable of beating Nebraska? Absolutely, because everybody left on the schedule is. But this is about Nebraska's ability to A, handle a little bit of success, and to B, not have their standard be fluctuating based on who they're playing. You know, Coach Rule talks about the standard is the standard. Whether you're playing Northwestern, whether you're playing Michigan, the standard is the standard. If they can hit their standard, they'll beat teams like Northwestern. They're still going to lose to teams like Michigan right now. They can hit their standard, and they still would have lost that Michigan game.
I don't even know why, but it's technical, right?
Like, that's a fair thing to say out loud, and it's true. Nebraska can play to their
standard. A lot of teams aren't competing with Michigan in
the
Big Ten.
100%. I mean, in the country, there's not a lot of teams.
There's about 3 teams.
Yeah, absolutely.
2 teams in the Big Ten that probably compete.
Penn State, Ohio State. That's
with
it.
Michigan.
And there's probably only about a dozen teams in the country that are competing with Michigan right now, right? And on any given day. Nebraska can play to their standard, and that's why the standard is important, because where Nebraska's at right now, some of those games you play up to your standard, that's still going to be a loss. That's okay, though, because you played up to the level that you're capable of.
And that's kind of what I was getting at with this Northwestern thing. If you take it from that Michigan example, it's actually a good way to look at, hey, you know, you come into a football game, you can be all hyped up for this game. You're playing the number 2 team in the country. But when you quickly go down 14-0, we saw how Nebraska kind of succumbed to themselves. And so that's kind of the internal battle that I'm talking about with the players of, and it's on both ends of the spectrum. One, against Michigan, when you're like, hey, if we go down, it's probably going to be a quick spiral down with no parachute. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then same end for Northwestern, because if you don't come out strong, you're going to end up matching and going toe-to-toe with an opponent that is nowhere close to where you are. I know a lot of people would be like, wait a second, they're 3-3. Also, Nebraska isn't that much better than Northwestern. But here's the deal. When you are one of the number 1 defenses in the country, you're number 25 or 24 in total defense, you can be factored into a category that's above Northwestern. Northwestern doesn't have that. No. Northwestern has similar offense to what Nebraska has, but comes nowhere close to what they have defensively. That's why Nebraska gets the leg up. That's why Nebraska gets the respect right now of a 12-point spread. And that's why Nebraska should come out firing on all cylinders. But it's just something I worry about because I've seen it so many times before, not just from this Nebraska team, but from teams all over where you just play down to your opponent's level when you shouldn't. You know you're the better team. So Coach Rule can speak it. It's just about how much it's going to be soaked up by the sponges wearing red and white.
Yeah, and that's totally fair in terms of a concern because, like you said, it's not happened just here. It's a thing that happens all the time, right? You see it in college football all the time. I know we often treat them like professionals. Now they can make money like professionals. And so it's really easy to forget that these are still 18 to 22-year-olds. And if you ask for consistent anything out of most 18 to 22-year-olds that you know or that you've ever known, you're going to be disappointed because consistency out of people in that age range, this is not hating on those people. It's just the point in life you're at is pretty rare, right? And so,
and you're relying on so many other people to be consistent.
Yes,
too.
You're not just relying on one person to be consistent. You're relying on, conservatively like 40 to 50 guys to be consistent all at the same time and all at the same level. That's a big ask of adults, right? It's a bigger ask of college kids. That's why you see more upsets in college than you do the NFL. That's why there's bigger sways in these types of matchups, right? You see these random things happening, like Colorado goes up 29-0 on a terrible Stanford team and loses that football game, right? Like, these are things that happen in college that,
and I'm sure they got back into the locker room,
yeah,
sat back and said, we got this.
Yeah, absolutely. You're up 29-0. It's a terrible football team. You're like, this thing is over. And that's human nature, right? But that's why you hire a guy like Matt Rule. That's why you hire a guy who is so process focused and focused on, hey, what standards can we live up to? What standards can we play up to? Not, hey, what do we need to do to beat this team?
And that goes back to that speech that he gave on, was it Sunday night in Illinois? I think it was Sunday night, when coach said winners win, losers lose, but then went on to say, when you're down 14-0 against Michigan, like, that's when you should be playing your best football. And sometimes that's hard to believe.
Yeah.
Because when you're playing a team like that, it's just like, well, like, I know what you're saying, coach, and I want to ride with that, but at the same time, this is also Michigan.
Also, and you also have to fight against, like, it's already too late. Like, we already blew it.
And so that's why Stanford is the perfect example, though, to kind of carry over and be a so-called message to the rest of college football. When you're down 29-0 at half, it's over.
Should
it's
be
done.
Yeah.
Because you're not expecting a team to come back out and score 29 unanswered points to get back within you without you scoring 3, 6,
anything,
14, whatever it is, right? But in this case, that's kind of what happened. But they're the perfect example of, that's why you don't give up. That's why you play your best football still, because in a quarter's time, anything can happen. One mistake by the opposing offense, you could be up 21-0 in the unanswered points category, because you come out, say you get the football out of half, 7 points. You get a pick, 7 points. And then boom, you get a stop, you come back down, 7 points.
Yeah.
There's
swings. That's half a quarter right there.
There's
that's not even a whole
swings in
quarter.
college football. So there's things to believe from Coach Rule. But now we just got to see those things. Those beliefs become things.
And that's honestly part of the reason I was excited about the way the Illinois game played out. Was it ugly? Absolutely. Was it tough to watch? Absolutely. Was there a part of me that's like, oh, they're going to find a way to lose this thing? Absolutely. But that's what excited me, was
it's exciting.
I got to that point where I was like, oh no, I've seen this before. This is how this goes. And the team didn't fall into that trap. Because you know there are guys on that team that at least for a moment in the back of their mind were like, oh, here we go again. But what they've been taught from Coach Rule or Coach White or Coach Satterfield or whoever overrode their past experience. It overrode the, oh no, here we go again. And they're like, nope, we keep playing our best football.
I think. Sometimes I still think there's a devil on the left shoulder, an angel on the right.
But in Illinois, the angel prevailed, right?
It all started with what? With the goal line stand.
Yeah, the goal line stand.
The
absolutely.
goal line stand.
Yes. And honestly, so that was really impressive, because, like, hey, they hit adversity right away. Boom, goal line stand. And then they kind of
you beat adversity, and that's what you're referring
to.
You beat it.
And honestly, the thing that I like the most is it was the turnovers at the end, right? The turnovers in the red zone, the fumbles. They keep giving Illinois chances, and the defense says, no, not today. We're not doing this today. We're shutting it down. Whereas it's really easy in that spot to be in a position as the defense and say, you're really going to put this on us again? Like, you have resentment towards your offense. You're not going to carry the load. You're not going to help us out at all. We got to keep doing this. It wasn't that. It was, hey, time to go to work. Time to go to work. Time after time after time. And they kept answering the bell. And that's what I like. It's not that I liked that they played ugly. I liked that they overcame mistakes that have led to losses in the past. Against a team like Michigan, right? You have to play perfect to even be in that game. But it's not about being perfect for the entire game. It's like Coach Rule talks about. It's about being perfect every snap, right? If you weren't perfect the last snap, that doesn't prevent you from being perfect the next snap. That's the biggest thing that's hard for people to learn, is I don't have to be perfect the whole time. I just have to be perfect the next time, right? You can screw up last time, be perfect this next time. You can screw up on that last play, be perfect the next play. That's what he's talking about when he talks about going 1-0 every week, right? It's not just going 1-0 every week. It's about going 1-0 every single snap.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, that's why I really appreciate coming from a basketball background, because you're not shutting anybody out, right? Like you're going to fail throughout a basketball game. Same thing with baseball, right? Baseball is mostly failure. Learning how to
and waiting for your next move.
Yes.
I talk about it all the time. When you make an error in the field, like how often do you have to wait until you can clean up that mistake?
Right.
Sometimes, whether it's you're doing it at the plate, but I'm talking about in the field, sometimes you have to wait 3 innings for another ball to come your way.
Yeah, and depending on what you're playing, sometimes you have to wait like 2 games, like to have another.
Yeah, if you're a pitcher, sometimes you get beat up and you're like, oh, well, 4 days, 5 days later, here I come again.
If you're a starter and you get tuned up, you got to wait, several days before you go back out there again. If you're in the field and you don't get, something that's not a routine ball, something you have to if you're a shortstop, you have to go into the hole and retrieve a ball and make a throw. Like, you might not get that exact same play for 3 days.
It's just understanding the aspects of the game. When you talk about not getting shut out in basketball, like nobody frets whenever somebody shoots a 3 and buries it and goes up 3-0, because it's like, well, they're supposed to make points.
Yeah,
so that doesn't worry me. It's the same thing in baseball. I'm not supposed to be perfect. I try to be perfect and I can do everything right, but sometimes my release point's just wrong and I have an error, or I throw a pitch and I hit a batter and now I put 2 guys on with no outs in the first inning. Those things just happen.
Or you have a bad at bat, or you have like a bad series and you go like 1 for 12 in a series or something.
It's expected to happen.
But hey, that 1 for 12 doesn't prevent me from going 3 for 4 the next day.
And that's what I think Nebraska still needs to understand is, even when you have those so-called procedural penalties, those so-called, I can't hold on to the football, I fumbled, it just kind of happened. I was getting a little bit too athletic. I was trying to get 2 extra yards and, it ended up going the other way. Like, those things happen in football, but we have still yet to see like this Nebraska team like overcome those moments. We saw it a little bit against Illinois. I don't think we saw everything about it. And so once you kind of get to that everything, that's kind of what we talk about with clean play. When you can beat your own mistakes.
Yes.
It's not about really not doing them. Like, if you don't have a false start in 3 straight games, like, that's pretty impressive.
That's incredible. Yeah.
That's pretty nuts.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, you could limit your mistakes still, right? But you're right in the reason that the sloppy play sticks out for Nebraska is because they're often not able to overcome.
Well, it's just understanding that you're imperfect.
Yeah.
And that you can be imperfect and still win football games and still find a way to win a football game clean.
And still try and strive to be perfect.
You do something wrong, you do the next thing better. You do something wrong again, you do that next thing better.
And that's the thing. That's the big difference between Nebraska and teams that are more consistently successful, is not just do they limit the amount of mistakes, right? But everybody makes mistakes on every play. Everybody makes mistakes in every game. There's no such thing as a perfect football game, right? Everybody makes those mistakes. What the difference is between good teams and teams like Nebraska right now is those teams don't let the mistakes beat them. Nebraska has a really bad habit, and that's, again, why I was excited about the way Illinois played out. Nebraska has a really bad habit of letting 1 mistake turn into 2 mistakes, turn into 3 mistakes, and it snowballs.
Because you're not making that next play
better
than the last.
Correct from one play to the next. You made a mistake, and you're like, oh, I'm not perfect anymore. I have to, and then it snowballs on you. Good teams, they make mistakes too. They just don't let it beat them. Getting a procedure penalty on 1st and 10 doesn't turn into, oh, this is definitely a 3 and out. They just get the 5 extra yards. That's how good teams play. Coming up next, we'll set up the show. We've got a busy one for you here today. Lots of football here on a Friday. Got all that and more coming up next on Hurrdat Sports.
We will be back. 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 You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Great week of practice. Great, really 2 weeks. And they're ready to go. I mean, I know this. I mean, they might be young, right? But they're as fast as any group of receivers in the country. So not very often you have 10-3, 10-4 guys out there. So, they've each made a play. Maybe not Jaden, but Jalen and Malachi have each made a play in games. Alex Bullock's made a couple big plays in games. Ty's made big plays. Billy's a baller. So they're ready to play. As I said to them, kind of the narrative of like, well, got some guys that, we've had to manage what we're doing to fit who we have. But those guys can play, and I'm excited to see them play.
Welcome back to Hurrdat Sports Radio. I'm Ravi Lulla. Andrew Rogers here with me. We're on AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. Speaking of playing, if you want to go out and play, make sure you get out to Warhorse Sportsbook. Best place in Nebraska to place your bets.
Why are you looking at me, Ravi?
I know a guy that likes to play some bets. That's all I know. You go live and in person at the Warhorse Sportsbook Casino to do that. Check out warhorsecasino.com/sportsbook for more information on that. Want to set up the show here real quick before we get distracted again, because that is very likely to happen. Coming up in the next segment, 7:45, we're going to talk to Gretna head football coach Mike Kayl about his Dragons. They are 6-2, facing off against Lincoln East tonight, another 6-2 team. That should be a good one. Coming up at 8 o'clock, our weekly guest before game days is Michael Rose-Ivey at 8 a.m. We'll talk to MRI about Nebraska's matchup with Northwestern.
I like that, MRI.
Yeah, it's nice little.
Why didn't I ever think of that when I hear his name?
I know, right?
I just call it as it is, Michael Rose-Ivey.
Michael Rose-Ivey. Coming up at 8:45, our very own Jacob Padilla will come in to talk to us about Nebraska volleyball. They have
a big one this weekend. Do we have a big one this weekend?
Yes, Nebraska, Wisconsin tomorrow night.
Is that going to be sold out?
I think it might be.
Are you going
I
to the
think
game?
so.
I'm actually not.
Or are you going to fall asleep
Coach
I might
Rule? Be Coach Rule. Take a little nap. No,
I pass out after every game. I go home and I am out.
I'll be watching on TV. But we'll talk to Jacob about that. I might sneak in a couple Creighton questions, but it'll be mostly Nebraska volleyball. Mike Sautter joins us at 9 a.m. He'll be here for the whole 9 o'clock hour, so we'll hang out with Sautter. And, of course, wrapping up every Friday with Matt Vrzal at 9:45. You can give us a call at 888-638-4876 if you want to be part of the show, but you better do it in a hurry because we are jam-packed.
We are tight on time.
We are jam-packed the rest of the day, so make sure you get in now. But we had on our YouTube comments, Travis chimed in if we were gonna talk about the Michigan quote unquote cheating scandal, stealing signs. I mean, I don't know. Did you see how he spelled Michigan? Yeah, he me chicken, I think is how he spelled it. It's obviously there's an ongoing investigation from the NCAA about violating scouting rules and then trying to steal opponent signals and things like that. I don't know. I get that it's not something you're supposed to do.
Round 2 of Jim Harbaugh fully cooperating with the investigation.
Yeah, it's a weird deal with Harbaugh. I don't know that, I don't know. Maybe I'm not taking this as seriously as I should, but it didn't really raise a ton of concern for me. If they're gonna get him in trouble for it, fine, whatever. But it's just a kind of a weirdness going around with Jim Harbaugh in the NCAA right now. It almost feels like a urinating contest between Jim Harbaugh and the NCAA about, and I don't really understand what the end game is here for either of them. I guess the NCAA wants to suspend him a little bit longer. I guess Jim Harbaugh is just mad at the NCAA. I don't really know what to make of this. I obviously we'll find out, but I don't know. Am I crazy? I just didn't.
Do you really think that off-person or off-campus in-person scouting of opponents was happening?
I mean, probably. It sounds like it. I have no idea. I guess I don't.
My thought though with all that is, and I don't really know the full story.
Yeah, so none of us do.
I mean, to be quite honest with you, I'm reading it just now.
Fair,
but teams watch game film.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They have a ton of game film of opponents. So whether what's the use of actually going somewhere?
Yeah,
and making it happen.
The big difference is,
well, obviously things change. I know that, but what? No. So what do you get from a coaching staff from actually going out there and trying to do something sneaky when?
So being in person versus film. On film, you're usually not going to hear what they're calling out from the sideline.
No, and I'm with you there. I get that there's benefits to actually
Yeah.
hearing something or seeing something today versus what you may have seen, last week or last year or whatever like that. But for me, I don't know a lot of coaches that don't have like their team at the center of all attention. Like my team is, I got to go out and recruit this kid in high school. I got to focus on my team to get my team ready for this week. I'm focusing on my guys. I don't know a whole lot of teams that are like, I'm gonna try to go be sneaky. Hey, let's go send our special teams guy to kind of like wear a trench coat and some sunglasses and go figure something out. Like, no, the special teams guy's going to work with the special teams guys that week.
Yeah, I mean, so I assume it's a support staffer who doesn't really have like a other responsibility.
I'm sure it's like a video guy.
Yeah,
right?
where they
some random.
You've got a million
director of player development.
Yeah, you've got a million support staffers in big universities like that. So I imagine it's one of those guys who isn't really being missed if he's not at practice or not on campus or whatever. I don't know. Like I get the benefit of it, and I get why, because I think a lot of coaches do focus a ton on other like their upcoming opponents and stuff like that. Not just like this doesn't surprise me that they would try and do it. I don't know how big of a deal it is, but I'm also kind of one of those people that I really didn't think the Patriots deal was that big, like the whole Spygate or whatever thing. I didn't think that was that big of a deal either. So maybe I'm not a good person to ask.
It didn't happen to your team.
Big deal.
No, it's just because it's like, so I think the thing with Spygate ended up being like, oh, you're not allowed to have audio when you record, or you have to like let them know that you're recording practice. Like it's not that they were recording practice. It's like there were some technicalities, and it's like, listen, I get that they were doing that for a reason and there's an advantage to it. I just don't care that much.
I don't even know why, but it's technical, right?
Yeah, it is. It's super technical, coach. So I don't know. I kind of feel the same way about this Michigan thing. Maybe it'll end up being a bigger thing than I'm making of it right now. But honestly, the biggest part of it just seems like Jim Harbaugh and the NCAA seem to have like some beef, and that's generally not going to go well.
Do we know what team that the accusation?
So there's 3 of them.
Is for?
There's 3 of them. I don't think they've released the names of the teams, but there were complaints by those teams. That's kind of what led to the investigation. 2 initially came forward, and now there's a 3rd as of yesterday. That was.
So are those teams Ohio State and Penn State?
No, I think they're teams they've already played this year. So I mean, there's like a 50% chance it's Nebraska that thought they were stealing signals. So I don't know. We'll see what comes of it.
I got a question for you real fast. What's that? This year they've played East Carolina, UNLV, Bowling Green, Rutgers, Nebraska, and Minnesota. How many of those teams are beating Michigan?
None of them.
What are we talking about?
I'm guessing it's all 3 of the Big Ten opponents, if I had to guess.
What are we talking about, though? Rutgers had no chance against Michigan.
Right.
Nebraska had no chance against Michigan.
Right.
Minnesota had no chance against Michigan.
Yeah.
Whether signs were stolen or not, bring it up so that it doesn't happen anymore if it actually is true.
Yeah.
But none of those teams had a chance to beat Michigan this year.
Yeah, I don't think it's about beating them. I think that's kind of.
I mean, it could be the principle, because I'm a principle guy. Like doing things the right way. I'm totally for that. I'm 100% like hear me when I say that stealing signs is wrong.
Does it matter if he was there or not?
Well, he wasn't sent. People would know if he was there.
No, yeah, Harbaugh wasn't there. It was some low-level staffer named, I think, like Connor Stallions.
Imagine being the guy listed in this article.
Right? That's not great. You're probably not going to have a job in football for very much longer. But no, I guess the question there is too, like if you're Michigan and this is true, you're right. None of those teams are beating you.
But also Michigan, like, what are you doing?
That's what I mean. Like, why do that? Those teams aren't beating you. Like, if you want to go steal signs, go steal like Penn State, Ohio State signs. don't go messing around with these teams that don't have a chance against you. Like, unless it was one of those, the only other thing I can think of is if Harbaugh is such kind of a micromanager, like control freak, that those games that he wasn't coaching for, he sent guys out to like have greater control over what was happening and try and hit those assistants in a better position to win.
If that's the case, Harbaugh is, I mean, he's delusional.
I mean,
to think that any of those teams We're going to really compete.
Have you heard him talk? He seems like he might be a little
delusional.
I
know he's a little
he might be a little delusional anyway. Coming up next, we're going to talk to...
I'm reading the story in full. That's what's coming up next.
Gretna head football coach Mike Kayl here on Hurrdat Sports Radio.
We will be back. We will be back.
Need to play things like Northwestern. They're doing the same thing because it's a barometer in your soul. Hey, how tough are we? How obviously Illinois is a great test for us to see how we bounce back. And
to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
you need to play teams like Northwestern that are doing the same barometer in your soul. Feel like it's still missing the
We will be back.
Feel like it's still missing the I can still miss the tackle. It's going to come down to technique and execution and playing fast and playing hard. But I expect this.
It's radio.
But I expect this. But I expect this.
We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio. It's the Friday Coach's Corner.
This is a process that we're going through. And although we're looking for the winning edge, shortcuts aren't one of them.
Hello? This is what the greatest thing about sports is. You play to win the game.
Can you believe they called that play?
I formation, quick 141.
94,
fullback banana hot right.
Ron left wide nasty 16 lead pass. Just what were those coaches thinking?
They are who we thought they were. We let them off the hook.
On the Friday Coaches Corner.
Hey, the spot! He's up here, sir. You misplaced the line of scrimmage, you bunch of dummies.
It's the Friday Coaches Corner.
Wrapping up hour number 1 here on Hurrdat Sports Radio. I'm Ravi Lulla. Andrew Rogers here with me. We're about to be joined by Gretna head football coach Mike Kayl. But before we are, I want to tell you about the Teammates Mentoring Program. It was founded in 1991 by Dr. Tom and Nancy Osborne. You may have heard of them. Their mission is to positively impact the world by inspiring students to reach their full potential through mentoring. 1 in 3 young people will grow up without a mentor, and that can make a huge difference in both the life of the mentor and the mentee. 94% of mentees say they're proud to be in teammates, and 91% of mentors say they leave their mentoring time in a better mood than when they arrived. Go to teammates.org to become a mentor today. High school coaching is a little bit like mentoring, and we're joined now by one of those, our friend Mike Kayl, the head coach of Gretna football. Coach, how you doing this morning?
Doing well.
So you are wrapping up your regular season tonight. A matchup of 2 6-2 teams with you and Lincoln East. Just how are you feeling about your team as you go into this final week of the season and start preparing for the postseason?
We're pleased kind of with what we've done the past few weeks and starting to get a little more healthy and gelling a little bit. So we're excited to go play a good Lincoln East team and be a tough game on the road. So just got to be ready to play tonight.
Coach, every time we talk to our friend Kevin Suits out in Lincoln, the Spartans always seem to come up in the conversation of best teams in the Lincoln area. Specifically for this opponent tonight, what are you looking at this week from the preparation side?
They're an athletic team, just dangerous. They throw the ball well. They run the ball well. So it's tough to defend. Kind of their MO is to get you on skates and guessing, and if you don't play it right, they're going to pop a big play on you. So for us, we're going to have to just be fundamentally sound and really disciplined on the defensive side of the ball. Try to get them to punt, and their hurry up offense, and try to do our best to slow down. Offensively, if we can keep the time of possession in our favor, will be a big advantage to us. And special teams just trying to win the field position battle.
Coach, obviously you lost some pretty major pieces from the last couple years going into this year. Who are some of the guys that you thought have stepped up in a really important way that have allowed you to be successful again this year?
No, we just, we've had several. It's every year it's tough to look and think, how are you going to replace these guys? And that's just part of the process. And so, our senior class, we got a big group of kids, and they've done a nice job this year. So, Alex Wilcoxon taking over the quarterback spot has done a really nice job. Isaiah Weber has helped us in the run game. He was a good running back for us last year and has continued that role. Our offensive line has done a great job. And then we've had some guys just kind of step out on the defensive side of the ball. We had to replace some guys up front. Like Blake Hawkins had a really nice season. And some of our secondary has been playing pretty well. So, there's just multiple guys that have just, stepped in and said, it's my time to shine now.
Coach, you mentioned Alex. We kind of could have predicted, he would be a difference maker for this team. I mean, just a great overall athlete. But did you expect him to be this advanced so early at quarterback?
Yes. He was our backup quarterback before, and he got all the backup reps. We just knew his potential. He just had Zane in front of him, so it's just a matter of time before he got there. He's a kid that's a great basketball player, good athlete, really competitive. Last year he helped us on the defensive side of the ball, being one of our better defensive secondary players. So we knew, all the potentials there. He just needed his opportunity to get in and play.
Coach, I'm curious, from the start of the year until now, where are some of the areas that you think you've improved the most over the course of the season?
Just execution-wise, I think we're getting better there. You know, at times we were maybe shooting ourselves in the foot with some penalties or some turnovers, and I think we're doing a better job of those things. It's not trying to do the other team any favors, and that's going to be key tonight against a really good Lincoln East team. You know, just try to move the sticks offensively, you know, not hurt ourselves by getting behind the sticks, taking care of the football, you know, don't give the other team short field, and, you know, just, you know, take care of the things that we can control, and hopefully the chips fall in our favor.
Mike, playoff football right around the corner. Obviously, the focus is this week, but just looking at the bigger picture, we'll glance at it. What's it going to take for your boys to make a deep run like you've done in recent years? Or better yet, like, what will they need to continue to do to put themselves in a good position to make a deep run?
Just, I think kind of what I just said, you know, I think in the past few years when we've made some runs, you get to the playoffs and you get a whole new level of focus, and you really got to just be fundamentally sound. And, you know, each week, you know, it gets darker earlier, it gets colder, you block all that out, and you're just taking advantage of the fact that you're trying to play football one more week. And so for us, it's really trying to execute and take care of ourselves to make it this far, or make a deep run in the playoffs. You take it week by week and try to be as fundamentally sound and execute as well as you can.
Coach, as you look at tonight's game against Lincoln East, what are a couple keys that you'll be looking for early from your team to know that you're in the right mindset and you're headed on the right track?
Just handling the highs and lows. You know, like I said before, Lincoln East got some really good athletes offensively. They're going to be tough to defend, and they'll make some plays. You know, how we're going to handle those plays. You know, when they make a play, you know, are we, you know, going to shake it off and come back and just make the adjustments that we need to? You know, how our mindset is if they pop one, and then, you know, just how physical we play. You know, so we're just going to have to, you know, anytime you go on the road, it's tough, and like I said, against a dangerous Lincoln East team, our frame of mind and how we handle, you know, the 4 quarters of football will be key in what happens tonight.
Coach, you mentioned some of the guys that have really become difference makers for this team, but I got my question to you is more for the guys that maybe were a little bit green last year that have now separated themselves and become a standout player. Who has really done that on your team in your mind?
I mentioned Blake Hawkins earlier. You know, he's kind of he played some special teams for us last year, and played a little bit of a backup role, and he's had a really nice season this year. Just did some good things in the off season, you know, got big into powerlifting and got a little taller, bigger, stronger, faster, and he's played really well for us on the defensive line. You know, and Aaron Sibley kind of started for us late in the season. He's kind of helped us offensively and defensively. I don't know, there's several guys there. You know, everybody's kind of stepping up and playing and doing their role. You know, those are just a couple that just come to mind that maybe didn't play a ton last year, but have stepped up and done a nice job.
Coach, good luck tonight. We appreciate your time as always, and good luck in the playoffs as well.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you. All right, appreciate it.
That's head football coach for your Gretna Dragons, Mike Kayl. Really appreciate his time.
And, you know, talking to a lot of people this offseason, Ravi, about the loss of Zane, it was kind of like, you know, addressing the elephant in the room, what was going to happen next. And I think Gretna's done a really nice job to put together a solid season. I mean, I don't know if they'll have enough in the tank to go the distance like they have been doing over the past few seasons, because you can't replace a guy like Zane.
No.
Like he is just, well, you can probably match his skill level. You can find a guy that could be as good as him, but he is just a different player. And so just what they've been able to do this season, I've been really impressed with.
Yeah, I mean, and not just Zane. You lose a guy like Mason Goldman, who was,
excellent,
a two-way player on both sides of the line for them, and especially, that's a place that it's. I mean, listen, Zane is irreplaceable in terms of what he brought to the table. I mean, there were multiple times over the last 2 years where I'm watching Gretna and I go, yeah, they're going to win this game just because Zane can do things that nobody else in Nebraska can do. Obviously, a really talented kid, but a guy like Mason Goldman as well. And I know they lost some. I know they lost some other guys that maybe didn't move on to the Division I level that were still really, really good high school players, right? And so I was really impressed with how they've played this year. They 6-2. Only losses are to Bellevue West by 1. And then they got it put on them a little bit by Millard South, but I mean, pretty much everybody this year except for Westside has had it put on them by Millard South. So
and Westside's a different animal. Did you see what they did last night?
Yeah. Speaking of last night, my Miller North Mustangs clinched a spot in the playoffs with a win over Lincoln Southwest. Good work. We're going to talk more high school sports later. Real quick, though, I want to tell you about the News Channel Nebraska, the NCN Game of the Week. It is Lincoln Pius X at Norris.
We talked about Pius a little bit this week.
They did, yeah. This is essentially, like we said, a district championship game. If Pius wins, they make the playoffs as district champion. Norris makes it either way, but we'll have a better seed with a win. TV coverage starts at 6:45 p.m. Central Time on News Channel Nebraska. That's available on Cox, Allo, Spectrum, and Dish. Make sure you check it out.
We will be back. We will be back. We will be back.
That was about my next question.
Isn't that crazy?
I gotta try to unravel some personality.
Jane, you'll have to mute me on your end again. You'll have to mute my mic on your end again.
We will be back. Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
You need to play teams like Northwestern that are doing the same thing because it's a barometer in your soul of, hey, how tough are we? How, obviously Illinois was a great test for us to see how we could bounce back from Michigan. This is a great test for us to see, hey, after a bye week, how much do we really want to play for each other? How much do we really love this game? How much do we love this team? And I don't question at all our effort. It'll come down to blocking and tackling. You can try really hard and I could still miss the block on you, right? I could still miss the tackle. It's going to come down to technique and execution and playing fast and playing hard. But I expect us to play well.
Kicking off hour number 2 here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, I want to tell you about our friends at Alumni Hall. They are your ultimate Husker shopping experience, the best and largest selection of apparel for the whole family, whether you want clothes, gifts, accessories, stuff for your tailgate, whatever you need. Alumni Hall has you covered. They also have a discount for UNL students, faculty, and military, always 10% off. Or you can get a Hall Pass rewards to earn cash.
Oh, a Hall Pass.
Back.
You can get a Hall Pass for clothing?
For cash
so
back.
I could tell my fiance, hey, do I have a Hall Pass to spend a ton of money at Alumni Hall?
Absolutely, because you're going to get cash back when you do it. They've got 2 great locations in Lincoln, P Street downtown, or South Point Pavilion, or anytime at alumnihall.com.
The apparel there, too, is unbelievable.
Oh, it's terrific.
It's just like what the coaches wear.
Yeah.
You see Coach Rule in that red hoodie yesterday.
With, the script in Nebraska.
The sleeveless hoodie.
Yeah.
You can get that at Alumni Hall.
Absolutely.
That brown hat that I wear with the trucker patch, Alumni Hall. I really, really thoroughly, I don't say this often, I really thoroughly enjoy the items that Alumni Hall pushes out.
Absolutely. They've got great stuff over there. Make sure you go check them out and support the people that support us. One of our favorite people is Michael Rose-Ivey. He joins us now, former Husker. He is a football coach in high school down in Missouri now. MRI, how you doing this morning?
Doing good. How you guys doing?
We are doing well. As Nebraska gets ready for Northwestern, Coach Rule had a lot to say this week. He had some pretty interesting moments at his press conferences. The thing that I keep coming back to is, he kept talking about how Northwestern is a really good team. And I know he's talking to his players, right? Because that's what he's admitted, that's what he's doing in a lot of these press conferences. But how hard is it when you're in that locker room, when deep down, these guys know that Northwestern isn't very good, right? How hard is it to kind of know that in the back of your head that an opponent probably is inferior, but still know that if you don't play the way you're capable of, that you're definitely capable of losing that game? How does that balance work in your head as a player?
I think for the current context of Nebraska, I think we can't take any team lightly, even after coming off of the Illinois wins. I mean, it's just about consistency and putting together, 2, 3, 4 good weeks in a row. So I think for them and right now, I think their biggest thing is, continue to prove themselves right, in their approach and how they've done things, coming back with the Sunday practice. And there's a lot of guys have been around practice this week, so it's been pretty uplifting after all that stuff that's happened in the loss of Illinois. So I think they understand that this is just an opponent that they should, take care of, and just go out there and play, put good film on the tape, and just do your assignment and play good football. I think, like I said, the context of where Nebraska is now, I don't think they're taking anyone lightly. And I think Rule wants to really set the blaze the path for them to get to where he sees them being in the next couple of years. So I don't think he's taking anybody lightly. I don't think the players are either.
Michael, all week long we've been talking about Heisman moments on this show and how important they are for those candidates. But what about moments that define a season? Do you think the Huskers accomplished that with their goal line stand against Illinois?
Yeah, I think. I mean, it depends. I guess it depends on what happens afterwards. If you give up, 32 points to Northwestern this week, then it's all for naught. I think it's kind of like the first question. It's more so the consistency and just seeing those guys come out and play, 2, 3 good weeks of football. Obviously hitting adversity, but you can't keep getting adversity and getting to the 1 yard line, right? Expecting stops, right? So there's some things probably within that drive. I know Coach White is looking at hey, we would be down here if X, Y, Z didn't happen, or other things may have occurred. So again, I think they're more focused on process oriented approach, and again, how you everything is is most important in doing it the right way and doing it how they're being coached.
Michael, Coach Rule said one of the hardest things about his job at that level is maintaining scholarship numbers and kind of roster management in general. What's one of the hardest things you've kind of had to deal with as you've become a head coach at the high school level? Like what are some of the challenges there that maybe translate to what Matt Rule's facing, whether it's in roster management or any other phase?
Playing time. Parents and playing time.
Parents and playing time.
Oh, man, I don't know what it is, man. Year two has been a lot more interesting than year one. I'll tell you that. I've had my son's grandpa's going to be in town from out of state. Can he start to play a couple series? I've gotten it all, so it's been pretty interesting. I would say probably playing time and trying to keep everyone's egos intact, which seems to be pretty difficult with this younger generation.
Is that something you noticed at all when you were playing in college? Like were people's, because I know now, I coached basketball at a lower level, but in college, but like, so I understand what you're saying with parents and playing time.
I
for
get
sure.
it too.
Is that something you noticed when you were playing as well?
It's not really. I mean, I think it's weird. Parents are more involved, but aren't involved. If that makes sense in the weirdest way. In that sense, like, the important things, like if I send an email out about grades, I may get 2 or 3 emails back from parents.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's about playing time, or if it's about, wearing the jersey on Friday, or who can come eat on Friday before the game, then it's the mass hysteria. And it's like, where's the priorities? What I mean? No, I don't. And when I was in college, I mean, I talk to college coaches. I mean, parents call up there probably more now, and why is my son not playing? And you got to answer those questions. It's like, I remember Bo Pelini's rule. I mean, he always said, "Hey, you got a problem where you said depth chart, call your parents, text me, and we'll put up the film. We'll watch practice together. We'll watch the game together. We'll go over what your assignment was, and then we'll pull up your academic record. Okay, he was late for class here, and it's when you got something like that that's waiting for you on the other end, it's kind of hard to." Tell one story to the parents and live a whole another reality with the coaches.
Well, it's inevitable. It all is inevitable at the high school level because your kid's perfect, right? Nothing happens. Like they're the number one. Ravi gets it. I get it. You obviously get it. Something I think about though with this Nebraska team, like in games that they've lost, in games that they've won, there's always things to get better at. So my question to you is a good way to describe this group, the one currently in Lincoln, one that is chasing excellence because the buy-in's there, the hunt is there. Now it's just awaiting results to all that work time.
Yeah, I think they're definitely on that hunt, and I think they want a consistent approach, and there's no shot or how maybe somebody else, builds the roster or manages the season or however way it goes. But for them, I really do believe, a lot of coaches will come in, first year and they'll say we're process oriented, we're not trying to, we're trying to build, et cetera, et cetera. But I think it's very genuine, and like I said, their approach, how they detail things out for the kids, and just again, I think their approach. They're in this for the long haul, and like the work's been put in, like you said, the buy-in there. It's just a matter of getting those results and staying persistent for it. Because, like I said, we can get a little bit of success or get through a little bit of adversity. But are we ready for the next level of adversity? Are we ready for the next level of success, right? Or the next level of possible failure, right? So I think again, just consistency in the approach, I think is definitely letting you know that they're process oriented and they want to duplicate this success for years to come. So. Obviously get those results and you'll be able to do that.
Michael, I'm curious because I know you said you're in year 2, right, at your high school. So you're trying to build something the same way Coach Rule's trying to build something. Is it difficult because Andrew and I were talking about this earlier? Like right now, if Nebraska plays up to the best of their ability, there's still games on the schedule, particularly Michigan, which I don't think they played up to their best of ability. But if Nebraska plays an A game against Michigan, there's still a pretty good chance that they lose. Is that hard to, as you're building a program and getting things going, is it hard to both instill confidence in your team and at the same time understand that, hey, we can play an A game and against certain teams we're still not winning yet?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think obviously, I mean, it's the kind of the view of being the fan that's been a fan of Nebraska maybe for 20, 30, 40, 50 plus years, and the coach has been there 1 year. And I think he got maybe a little flack kind of for it, I think earlier, and you're kind of, talking a little bit of the difference between, this last staff and his staff. But I think for them, it really is just a matter of, again, the approach and how they're doing things. They're being process-oriented. And it's like, I would rather go out and win or lose by 10 and give Michigan a hard fight. It's easier to come back on. You don't have a Sunday practice, right?
Sure. Yeah, sure.
You go by 10. So the confidence, I think, is there to build, but it's harder to build when you're coming off something like that. And then you have to do a drastic measure like the practice. So, again, I think it's all in their approach and, like, their process, and being there to play in those close games, it does help, I think, push that need a little bit more into the buy-in. But, again, I think you found a way for, you kind of jump off a cliff, per se, versus Michigan, and you're able to bring the boys back in and bring them back in and come back and have a good week of practice and go out and beat Illinois in a pretty dominating fashion. So, I think there's two sides to the coin, and I think, you have, as a head coach, you got to be able to, whatever comes up when the coin is tossed, you got to be able to play off the defense, just like kickoff.
Michael, I'm going to ask you to put yourself in the role of a Nebraska coach here. During the bye week, you collectively gathered all the film from the first 6 weeks, antsy to figure out the best way to attack going forward and the best way to clean up those mistakes. What's the number one thing, though, that you're looking for or at based on everything that you've seen so far? And how do you go about working that failure into a success in the final 6 weeks?
I think you look at film and you try to break down basically pods. So, obviously there's 22 people on the field, but as you look at, for instance, like, hey, Nebraska, if they were struggling on, tackling bubble reads, right, and number 2 running the bubble and swinging out, and they throwing it to a receiver and the other receiver's blocking, they're struggling with that tackling. Well, then I'm going to look at it as a coach, right? Okay, I need to figure out, am I drilling this right now? No. If I'm not, right, I need to come up with some type of drill that's going to reinforce, hey, this is something we've been struggling with. We've been looking at, we've been giving up, yards after catch or yards after contact here on this play. Let's find a way to break this down to just these 3 people that are main people involved in it, and let's focus their eyes and focus all their attention on making this play. So I think, a lot of coaches use those vibes and do self-studies more importantly, and look at themselves and look at how they're calling stuff, what's the frequency they're calling things, and where they're calling it, to kind of adjust their scheme and how they're attacking defense or offense. But I think the most important part, I think, like I said, is looking at film, finding ways to correct some drills, individual drills from individual coaches, period, just to help players emphasize, right, and reinforce maybe some things that you spoke about in the spring or the fall.
Michael, as we focus our attention more to Northwestern tomorrow, as you've seen Nebraska, as I'm sure you've seen Northwestern a little bit as well, where are some key areas that you're going to be looking for Nebraska early on in the game? What are going to be some key indicators that they're playing the way you think they need to?
Running the football, obviously, I think being successful on first down. Northwestern always been notorious, but don't break kind of defense, and then they'll play everything in front of them. But I think being able to run the ball, seeing if you can be physical up front, be able to take some play action shots. I think defensively, Northwestern's given up quite a few sacks. So getting at the quarterback, blitzing, putting pressure in his face. Obviously, I think, with looking at their offense, kind of, similar to what they've been running, on third down, they'll get into a lot of mesh concepts and crossing routes. So be interested to see, how much man-to-man they'll play on third down and second down and long. But again, I think getting pressure on defense is going to be vital. And then finding, what is your answer to those crossing routes? We've seen it, very fast, since I was there, be a third down and 8, crossing route, go across the field and hit the first down, especially against Northwestern. So, take that away from them. Northwestern uses a lot of cluster and bunch sets to go get the receivers close so you can't really press. So, again, to see what kind of Coach White's answer will be to that. But, again, I think offensively run the football, be physical, and, be there to throw the ball efficiently. But, we'll see.
Michael, after losing to Minnesota in week 1, Colorado week 2, would you say you still expected the Huskers to be 500 at this point halfway through the season? Or is it more of a surprise to you that they're in the position they are today where they could be 4-3 come Sunday?
No, I think this is about right. Plus minus, or plus one more win, maybe. You can come out with that Minnesota win possibly. Colorado was obviously, they're rolling early and had some skill advantages there. So I think where they are. I mean, obviously, as a coach, you play the game 1,000, maybe 1,000,000 different ways in your head throughout the off season, and it never really quite works out the way you thought it all those times. So I think from where they've come from and where they've been, I think this is a good spot for them to be able to be 4-3 after this week, and still be able to compete and get closer to that bowl eligibility.
Michael, we'll get you out of here on this. Put you on the spot a little bit here. You have a prediction on how you think this game is going to go for Nebraska?
Yeah, I think it'll be a defensive battle. I think it'll end up being a 23-16, 23-17 type game. A couple field goals. Special teams have to be very important. But just seeing them in a dominating fashion, be able to run the ball, stop the run, and just play good clean football.
Michael Rose-Ivey, former Husker, current high school football coach. MRI, we appreciate your time. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, Michael.
No problem, guys. Have a good way.
Good stuff there from Michael Rose-Ivey, as always, on that Warhorse Sportsbook hotline. Some interesting stuff in there. It's always interesting to get his perspective, as obviously he played for Nebraska, but under a very different regime under Bo Pelini, and so
you're talking to a ghost.
I just had this mental picture of parents trying to call up Bo Pelini to get their kids more playing time and how that would have gone.
I mean, knowing his personality,
yeah,
and knowing how he carried his business, I would love to be a fly on the wall for a parent to actually, like, if they move forward with their claim, to show up, sit down with Bo, the player, watch film, look at grades, all that, and just hear the conversation. Because Bo didn't take anything from anyone.
No, I can just imagine him and Carl sitting in on that meeting, just dropping F-bombs at the parent. And
yeah, if the transfer portal was a thing back then, you would have seen that player get ripped out so fast, like a Band-Aid on a child, whenever you're like, hey, it won't hurt. Chink.
It's wild though. Just imagining parents trying to call Bo is hilarious to me.
Maybe that should be a segment.
just parents calling Bo Pelini.
How those conversations would go.
No, I mean, MRI is right though. There's it happens at all levels, where these parents just they try and get involved in coaching decisions and things like that. And listen, I'll be the first to admit that coaches get blind spots sometimes, right? They think a certain way about a player, and sometimes it's difficult for them to adjust their viewpoint based on new information, because they kind of get it in their head that, like, oh, this is who he is, and this is kind of what he's capable of, and more importantly, sometimes what he's not capable of. And it can be difficult. And I know for a fact it happened while I was coaching, that I would get blind spots on certain guys, and I've seen it with other coaching staffs as well. And so it's really interesting to think about, because that's one of the things that I really push back on when, listeners or other fans say, hey, don't you think the coaches know better? And I was like, yeah, a lot of times they do, but they're also people who are not perfect, and you kind of carry these biases, make it sound negative, and it sometimes it is, sometimes it's not, but you carry these kind of preconceived notions about players from one season to the next, or from one practice to the next, and it changes how you view a guy. And to think that doesn't happen at Division I or NFL or wherever else is just to assume that these guys aren't human beings, and they are. Like, you saw it. I'm sure you've seen it just in your first coaching stint here.
I'm thinking about a lot of different scenarios right now.
Nebraska prospects, right? Like, it's really hard to break out of the rut of what you already think about a person or a thing or a situation. And that's the same thing whether you're coaching, fall ball, baseball, or whether you're coaching NAI basketball, or whether you're coaching Division I football, like maybe they're a little bit better at it, and you've got more people on staff to try and hopefully set you straight.
Right.
If you are off on something, but it happens to everybody.
Now, the back end of to kind of build off what you were saying there, I would still say Division I football and NAIA basketball, and the way that you were talking about it, still had it was a little different than what I did in fall ball. Because fall ball is more development, right? We're getting them ready to play for the spring. Doesn't mean that coaching changes. Right. It's just, as you said, the goals are completely different. But there were moments in time where, we even had one incident that it's a lot of tournaments. Like, that's what you play in the fall. You do a lot of practice throughout the week, like twice a week, and then you have a tournament on the weekends.
You're trying to knock out as many games as possible on a weekend.
So there was a moment where we were trying to save our best catcher. Like, he was by far the furthest along on the team, but we wanted to save him for bracket play. Well, you play. What is it? You play 2 games before bracket play. So we were mixing in some of our other catchers on the team, and then we
because you're playing several games a day, right? Like that.
Well, you play 2 on Saturday, and then bracket play would normally be on Sunday.
Okay.
But it's hot outside. Yeah. We're trying to save bodies, save arms,
especially a catcher,
save everything, right? And so there was moments where us coaches are thinking like, hey, this is the best route to take for the team. But in parents' minds, if their son is not playing and the position that, like, he's the best one in the group at, it can look a little bit different. So trying to get that understanding across can be difficult. And I think that's a lot what Michael Rose-Ivey was saying more times than not about playing time. It's not always about like, hey, one person's better than the other. A lot of times it is.
Sure.
But sometimes it's just, no, I have a strategy on how to use your son and the best way to help the team. Now, where it bit me and my head coach in the behind was we ended up we were first out of bracket play, first team out. So which means we got sent home.
Yeah.
So our strategy didn't work out for the player.
Right.
So of course, like, I'll own that.
Yeah.
I will 100% own that. But I wanted to make sure that our guy knew that he was going to catch a ton that next weekend. Like, that's what my message across to him was that.
Yeah. It's the communication part.
But
of it.
that's so difficult sometimes for those that aren't in the dugout to understand, because in the fall, a lot of times too, we wanted to let guys work through their own struggles.
Sure. Yeah.
We did that with one of our pitchers a lot too. We probably left him in a little bit too long.
You see if we could get through it.
But those are things that we hope come spring that they can figure out on their own without a coach's help, because we instilled that in them 5-6 months ago.
Yeah. It's like what we've seen it's a lot of what we've seen with Nebraska football, right? Is they were trying to get guys reps in lower leverage situations so that they know what to expect when they're on the field, so that when you need that guy in a higher leverage situation, he's not trying to drink through a fire hose and keep his head above water and just whatever other metaphor you want to use of trying to figure it out. You get these guys reps and you teach them how to overcome some of their adversity and stuff like that in situations where it probably won't cost you the game, right? Or it won't cost you anything. Like fall ball's developmental league, right? So that's lower leverage than spring. You get them some reps against Louisiana Tech, Northern Illinois when you're up. That's lower leverage than Big Ten conference play. And it seems like that's a lot of what Coach Rule, Coach White, and Coach Satterfield have done. Coming up next, we're going to play a little game.
A new game.
We've got a new game here as we're halfway through the show on Hurrdat Sports Radio.
We will be back. 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 You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
We are halfway through the show here on Hurrdat Sports Radio. I'm Ravi Lulla, Andrew Rogers here on AM 590.
That's
ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities, Twitter, YouTube, all the places. We appreciate everybody for listening, however you do that. Also appreciate our friends over at Big Brothers, Big Sisters. It's their mission to support one-to-one mentoring relationships that ignite the power and promise of youth. Go to mentoromaha.org to sign up to become a big, or you can donate tickets to events for people that are already matched up. You can donate money. Lots of ways you can support Big Brothers, Big Sisters. If you're just like, hey, now's not a great time for me to be a mentor, go to mentoromaha.org. There are many ways for you to help and be a part of that great organization. So make sure you go check out Big Brothers, Big Sisters. All right. As I promised, we've got a game. This is a new one of Andrew's creation. Take it away, my friend.
This one is called What Did He Say?
What did he say?
So in a moment, you will hear some Spanish sports broadcasting calls.
Okay.
And I will give you 2 answer choices. This is going to be an in-house game. You v. Shane. Okay. This game has little to no strategy because nobody here can speak Spanish. So we're going to try to guess what the announcer said. Now, you at home are probably like, well, Andrew, if you don't speak Spanish either, how do you know what he said? Thank goodness for our friend Jamie that listens to the show. He DM'd me on Twitter last night, said he could help us out. And he spent a lot of time deciphering these clips. He was born and raised in Nebraska. He said both his parents were from Mexico, but he was born here, so he considers himself American. That's what he told me. So he's got a little bit of English, a little bit of Spanish in his blood. So he was able to do some great work to help us out for this game. And these are a lot of fun because I don't know if you ever listen to Spanish radio calls, incredible. But they are unbelievable. So here's kind of the objective here. There are going to be different things I'm going to have you guys do for me. Either tell me what he said, and I'm going to give you 2 answer choices, okay? Or I want you guys to listen to the clips closely because I may even ask you to tell me certain things about the clip. Okay. May not be like, hey, what did he actually say? But there may be something in the clip that I hope you remembered as you're listening. All right. Okay. So we'll start with this one. Shane, I want you to play the Panthers DJ Moore touchdown call for me.
Se deshace de la pelota, va a ser un pase largo. DJ Moore, la atrapó, la atrapaste, la hiciste, te la cobramos. Ahí estás, DJ, bailale, confetti sin serpentinas.
Okay, so a lot to unpack there, but I want you to focus on the part where he went, DJ. Okay. DJ. Okay. Did he finish that line with go ahead and dance, or did he finish the line with the game is over, it's dancing time? Ravi, your choice.
I choose A, go ahead and dance.
Shane, what would you like? You can choose the same answer or a different one.
Go ahead. What are the answers again?
Is it go ahead and dance, or the game is over, it's dancing time?
Go ahead and dance.
Both of you are correct. Each get 1 point. Let's hear the call one more time, though, so we can get juiced up by
Ahí
DJ.
Está Walker tiene tiempo. Se deshace de la pelota, va a ser un pase largo. DJ Moore, la atrapó, la atrapaste, la hiciste, te la cobramos. Ahí estás, DJ, bailale, confetti sin serpentinas.
Oh, my goodness. So much fun. All right, Shane, play the Braves Jorge Soler home run clip for me.
Enfrentar a Soler. Lanzamiento al Pentágono. Batazo de Soler. Profundo por el izquierdo. La pelota. Fuera del estadio. Jorge Soler.
Okay. Did he say, give it a ride, my son, and a long home run? Or did he say, the ball is out of the stadium and a long home run? Ravi, your choice.
I'm going to say the ball is out of the stadium.
Shane?
Did you see this with the video?
I did.
Okay, so when he did that, was he trying to make it like the entire way around? Like when the guy went around.
You know what? I didn't pay close enough attention to
that. Would
that.
Be really cool.
I was laughing so hard that he just held it out for so long.
I just kept waiting for it to be over. I was like, nope, there's more.
All right, so what are the
give it a ride, my son, home run, or the ball is out of the stadium, home run?
Give it a ride, my son.
It is Ravi's direction. The
Let's
ball
go.
is out of the stadium.
2 for 2, baby.
Run. Shane, down 1. But you can get it back right here. I want you to play the clip about Messi for me, please.
Presiona a Barça, talla la pilota Deco l'envia cap a la dreta per Xavi. Assistència de Xavi, més cap a la dreta per Messi. Immens Messi. Encara Messi.
All right, fellas. Over under 45. How many times did he say goal?
Oh, I was gonna say, are you gonna ask how many times he said Messi or how many times he said goal? Shane, you want to go first?
That almost sounded like, when you spill your drink and it's starting to go everywhere and you're like, this is going to be messy. This is going to be messy. I got to clean this up. This is going to be messy. I'm going to go under.
I'll go over.
Do you want to try counting it?
No, I don't.
Shane, play the clip back one more time.
Pressiona el Barça, talla la pilota. Deco l'envia cap a la dreta per Xavi. Assistència de Xavi, més cap a la dreta per Messi. Immens Messi. Encara Messi. Gol.
47 was the number.
Nailed it.
Over. Yeah. Doesn't seem like 47.
No, he does it
until
quick.
You really count it out on your hands and you just keep kind of firing away.
Doesn't it sound like he's yelling for his wife to go get the towel because we got to get this cleaned up. It's going to be messy.
I can't imagine, and it sounds so natural, right? Like on those calls. But can you imagine an English speaking play-by-play guy saying the same word 47 times in a row?
Yeah, I don't think it would work.
No, it doesn't. I don't know why it works, but it kind of does. It's wild.
I think it's just the way that the excitement of the Spanish call. I think that's just what they do. In one broadcaster, they kind of all do the same thing.
Like stylistically, it's different though.
Right. So if you're listening to an English baseball broadcast, you're going to hear swing and a drive, deep left field. That ball's back. It's way back. It's gone, or it's out of here, or something like. So you hear that. Well, then on the Spanish call, you would hear a lot like the home run or whatever. You get a lot of creativity when it comes to announcing the actual play. All right, I got one more for you guys.
All right.
Shane, play the Eagles-Bears Parkey call, please.
Oh, no.
Am I down 1 or 2?
You're down
you are
2.
down 2.
So can I double up on this one?
Yeah, I'll let you double up your points.
El pie de Cody Parkey. 43 yardas. El snap. Le mete el pie. Distancia, dirección. Le dio el poste. ¡No! ¡Falló! ¡Oh! ¡No, señor! ¡No, señor! ¡No, señor! ¡No, señor! ¡No, señor! ¡No, señor! ¡Los Eagles se van con la victoria! ¡Ay, papá! ¡No, señor! ¡No, señor! ¡Chicago! ¡Chicago! ¡Nos vamos para New Orleans! ¡Filadelfia gana el partido! ¡Le dio el poste! ¡Le dio el poste! ¡Y falló! ¡Parkey falló! ¡Los Eagles ganan el juego! ¡Ay, papá!
Okay, so that one had a lot in there.
I really love him singing Chicago in the middle. It's incredible.
So I remember this game vividly.
Yep.
So I'm going to ask you what he said. Did he say Philly won the game, he hit the post, and he missed? Parkey missed. The Eagles win the game. Oh, Dad. Or did he say Philly won the game, Parkey hit the post again, Eagles win. Oh, Dad.
I'm going to say B here.
Okay, you think the again, Eagles win. Oh, Dad. Shane, to double up, are you riding with Ravi?
It is B.
Or are you
It's
taking?
B.
All right, let's hear it back one more time.
El pie de Cody Parkey. 43 yardas. El snap. Le mete el pie. Distancia, dirección. Le dio el poste. ¡No! ¡Falló! ¡Oh! ¡No, señor! ¡No, señor! ¡No, señor! ¡No, señor! ¡No, señor! ¡No, señor! ¡Los Eagles se van con la victoria!
Hey, what's your favorite play?
¡Ay, papá!
Oh, Shane, you stopped it too early. I was trying to get him to say his favorite play, which was what? Chicago. Chicago. Is that a musical?
So which one was it?
It was A. You are both
We were
incorrect.
both wrong.
So Shane lost all his points. Ravi, you are still the outright winner with, what was that, 4, 5?
3. Just 3, I think. We only did 4 clips, I think. I got 3 of them.
Is that right?
We're
We're all over the map.
Listen, love it. You love to hear it.
Yeah, just something fun to break things up on a Friday.
A little different.
I
Coming
may
up,
listen to Nebraska's Spanish radio broadcast. Do we have one?
I don't know. That's a good question. Coming up next, we're going to talk to our friend Jacob Padilla here from Hurrdat Sports about Nebraska volleyball. Maybe sprinkle in a couple Creighton questions as well. That's coming up next to wrap up the 8 o'clock hour.
Clear.
We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Wrapping up hour number 2 here on Hurrdat Sports Radio. I'm Ravi Lulla. Andrew Rogers here with me.
Hey, that's me.
That is you. It's a Friday.
Feel Good Friday.
It's a football Friday. Football Feel Good Friday.
Oh,
We
man,
are.
What other F word can we add in?
Let's be careful. We are on air here, and we're on air on freaky fun football
Feel
Friday.
Good Friday.
Feel good, and we are on AM 590 ESPN Omaha and ESPN Tri-Cities. Joining us now because it's not just a football Friday.
It's a fantastic Friday.
It's a fantastic volleyball Friday as
Sure
well
is.
because a much bigger game than the football game, if we're being honest, a much bigger match, excuse me, than the football
You
game.
don't have to add, if we're being honest. It just is.
No, it's just the fact of the matter is Nebraska and Wisconsin coming up tomorrow. To talk about that with us is our friend Jacob Padilla, our Hurrdat Sports teammate. Jacob, what's going on, man?
Good morning, guys.
What up,
I don't
JP?
know why we're talking about football. It's definitely a volleyball weekend.
It for sure is. So obviously Nebraska and Wisconsin facing off tomorrow night. That is a huge matchup. Undefeated, number 1 and 2 teams in the country. This is the one we've kind of been waiting for all year, right, Jacob?
Oh, for sure. I mean, as soon as both teams really kind of merge, they're as good as we thought they might be, and perhaps even better. And they're the only 2 undefeated teams in the high major conferences left. Citadel might still be unbeaten as well, but they're obviously on a little different level than the Big Ten. So it's 1 versus 2, who are clearly the 2 best teams in the country through however many weeks we're in now, and now they'll get a face-off here.
Jacob, Wisconsin's kind of had Nebraska's number here as of late. In your mind, has there been an actual gap between Wisconsin and Nebraska? I know Wisconsin's been really good, and Nebraska's been chasing a little bit. But has there actually been a gap there, or is it just kind of the way things have gone lately that Wisconsin ended up on top?
Yeah, there was with that class that Wisconsin had with Sidney Hilly and Dana Retke, and in particular, that Wisconsin was just a more complete team than Nebraska at that point. Obviously, they had a lot of size, a lot of athleticism defensively, but offensively, they just were on another level than Nebraska. Last year, I think it was a little different, like with those players moving on, but bringing in some new ones. I don't know that the gap was quite as big, but it was still there clearly, and I think there was probably some of that kind of hanging over the team of like, we just can't beat these guys. And now I don't know. I mean, they look neck and neck with the way. I mean, you look at the conference standings in terms of statistics, and it's basically 1 and 2 in some order for all the important stats. And I mean, you look at Nebraska's the best defensive team, and they're the second best offensive team in the Big Ten. Wisconsin is the best offensive team, and they're the second best defensive team. And I mean, you look at the difference in hitting percentage; it's almost identical in hitting and then hitting allowed. So offense versus defense, it's almost they're neck and neck for how much better they are than their opponents so far this season. So I think that gap isn't what it has been in recent years, and it's also interesting kind of listen to the players and coaches and kind of the kind of tactics they're taking approaching this. John Cook, his message was, "Hey, you guys, is just another match. You guys have already played in the biggest match in volleyball history." Basically, is referring to the stadium match and kind of everything that went into that, even outside, just preparing for the match itself. So that's kind of his message, is like, hey, you guys have already prepared for the most mentally challenging thing that you guys have dealt with this year. Now it's time to just go out and play volleyball against a good team. I think Merritt Beeson's the only one on the team that's actually beat Wisconsin. She was with Florida last year when they went and beat Wisconsin in the Kohl Center, when Wisconsin decided, all right, we're going to one up Nebraska's attendance record, which sparked the stadium match that we just talked about. And Florida went in there and beat them there. And Merritt said kind of what worked for Florida last year was just kind of going in like the underdog mindset, like, hey, these guys are really, really good. Like, we were going to have to go all out and give everything we could possibly have here in order to win this match. such as they're kind of trying to do the same thing here. It's like this is the one chance that they'll have this year, at least at this point, to be that underdog. Wisconsin's won there too, so can't really pull that card against anybody else. So they're kind of pulling it now. And Lexi Rodriguez also said, like, in the past, like, kind of the history has weighed on them a little bit. Like, oh, this Wisconsin's big rivalry, they haven't beat us for a while. They're trying to not think about this. And it's a little easier with half the team being brand new, that history isn't really kind of creeping into their minds that like, hey, we just can't beat these guys type of thing. It's like, hey, we're just going in here. We're not really thinking about it outside of, all right, this is a really good team and we've got to prepare for them. So they're kind of keeping that, all the history out of their minds as they're going into it.
JP, going into a match like this, would you rather be the team with the number one defense or the number one offense?
Well, like I said, the thing is that it's so close that I don't know.
That doesn't even matter.
Yeah, at this point. In the past, like Nebraska's defense was so good, but their offense just wasn't where it needed to be in order for that to really matter. I mean, we saw that in the title match a couple of years ago where, I mean, they took them down the wire. The thing went 5, but in the end, Nebraska just couldn't keep pace with Wisconsin down the stretch of that. Now, I think they've got the offense. The thing about this Nebraska team is they've been able to win with their offense and their defense this year. That's what has, I think, fans so excited about this team is they can beat you either way. It doesn't have to be like, all right, we're going to have to hold you to 100 hitting if we want a chance to win this thing. Like, they can go out and hit 400. They can go out and hold you to 0. It doesn't matter either way. They're that good on in both phases of the game. It's just Wisconsin's got so many elite hitters. They got some incredible size. Kind of the one question mark, unfortunately, is health for Nebraska. It looked like last week that, Wisconsin might be a little shorthanded going into this, missing a couple of key rotation players there. But they both played on Wednesday, and Lindsey Krause did not for Nebraska. So that's a big blow with the way that she's been playing recently.
We're talking with Jacob Padilla of Hurrdat Sports. He covers Nebraska volleyball, covers a little bit of Creighton basketball as well, and we'll focus more on that once Nebraska volleyball season's over. But Jacob, obviously a lot of emphasis gets put on this match with Wisconsin. Obviously they play them twice tomorrow in Lincoln, and then they go to Madison later on at the end of the month. But at the end of the day, I guess, how do you worry at all about them putting too much emphasis on this one match when, you know, they could split with Wisconsin this year, or let's say even they lose both to Wisconsin this year, they're probably going to still end up with an incredible record. They're going to end up where they want to be, most likely in terms of the NCAA tournament seeding and things like that. Like, I guess, how much does this match matter in the bigger picture of Nebraska season?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, like, it probably means as much or more to the fans just in terms of exercising those demons.
Sure.
And I'm sure, like, some players, if they win, they'll be able to let out a big sigh of relief, the ones that have been here the longest and have been part of that. But like I said, it seems like kind of the message from the top down is like, hey, they're trying not to put that much into it outside of what it's going to take to beat a really good team. They're trying to put that stuff aside, kind of all the extra hanging around the matchup. And so I don't think so. I think ultimately, no matter what happens in this the match, it'll be a valuable teaching tool for Coach Cook and that staff. I mean, at some point, chances of them going undefeated wire to wire, it's incredibly difficult to do. At some point, you're probably going to suffer a loss, and from that, they'll have something else to go teach a team. They've been doing a lot of, we didn't play our best, but we won anyway, and teaching from that, which is honestly, it's the best way to be able to teach is like, hey, you guys messed some stuff up here, but you're good enough to still win. So let's work on this stuff here and just wipe the floor with the next opponent. So no matter what happens here, they'll have something to learn from. And so I think the timing of it is great. Like right at the midpoint, this is the final match of the first half of the Big Ten. So there's still a lot left to play, no matter what happens in this one. And I think the players know that.
Jacob, real quick, about 30 seconds here before we let you go. Creighton was ranked number 8 in the preseason AP poll. How did you feel? Was that about right in terms of what you thought they'd be?
I think so. I think with what they bring back and kind of the way that Stephen Ashford fits in, I think that's a good spot for them. They've got the chance to be even better than that, but I think you have to kind of how that 4th spot plays out, how Ashford adjusts to Big East, and kind of what the depth looks like in terms of just a top 5 team, a Final Four contender. But yeah, I think that top 10 is a very solid place for them to start, and now they can go out and prove it.
You heard it here first. Jacob Padilla says Creighton national title or bust. No, I'm just kidding. That's Jacob Padilla from Hurrdat Sports. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, Ed.
Thanks, JP.
We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Oh, yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
Mike Sautter.
Yeah.
Mike Sautter.
Oh, man, you're going to put me on the spot.
Mike Sautter.
Kicking off hour number 3 here on Hurrdat Sports Radio on AM 590 ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities, and for the 9 o'clock hour, KFOR in Lincoln. I'm Ravi Lulla, Andrew Rogers here with me, and we're joined now for the final hour, our guy Mike Sautter, Hurrdat Sports and NEB Preps. What's up, Mike?
The final hour. God, I cannot hear myself talk.
It's the final countdown.
I cannot hear myself talk. I don't need to, but it usually helps.
Would you like to hear yourself talk? Is that better? More? Does that help?
That helps. Yep, there we go.
There we go.
Got it.
Is it really hard to hear in here today, or is it just me?
Coach, it is really
the fact
hard
that he has that on standby. Oh my goodness, Shane, that was good.
I can see Shane right now.
Yeah,
just barely.
The glare,
nose up.
The glare I'm giving him.
Either you crack this thing or you get cracked.
At this moment. Shane wasn't good. Can I tell you a story real quick?
Sure.
Story time?
I don't even know why, but it's technical, right?
Shane was a little bit of like a babysitter for me.
Oh, I know.
On Saturday night at the hockey game, because I took my kids. And I was like, hey, Shane, like, I got to go do this interview. Can you, 1, help me film it for me? And 2, make sure my kids don't move while I'm doing this.
Make sure they don't run away.
Where'd you do the interview with who?
Ron Higdon.
So I said, where? Was it like just in the lower bowl?
Concourse. Concourse, baby. Just rolled.
You're just like, hey, I need you to come in the suite so I can watch my kids while you're
No, we just did it in the concourse.
Yeah, the camera
and Ron.
The camera work was pretty amazing considering I was getting,
Were you on a step stool?
No, but I was in the crowd while I was doing it, and
people were wanting to walk in front of him and stuff.
Yeah, and I'm like, no.
Shane, I couldn't see him. That's
why. Boxing people out.
I was boxing people out. Yes.
Were your 2 daughters going like this on both sides?
My 7-year-old is almost as tall as Shane.
Well, how does that make you feel, Shane?
That's true, though, Shane. Shane, that's fact.
Hey, you know what I saw?
Facts.
And this was
Okay,
it was on Shane's Twitter page. I think it was an anniversary tweet, or maybe it's your pin tweet, that Shane was like in football pads, and there was like an old tape of Shane.
No.
Yeah, Shane, that was you, right?
3rd grade.
Yeah, that was me. I was in football pads. I used to play football.
Yeah. See, I would love for
I
Mike
did too,
Sautter to
actually.
watch the tape of Shane Schillerberg
Break
and
it
tell
down.
me where he would go to college he played.
Wow. Okay.
That's what we're gonna do
You got-
sometime.
I don't. You got the VHS tape?
I do
It's
have
on Twitter.
I do have the VHS tape. Yes.
You would have VHS.
Well, that's what it was taped on.
You would still have it though.
Yes, you keep the source material.
You got to keep.
You got to keep
Well,
a
you gotta-
hard copy of it.
It's like
People-
that 200 CDs. I
People
just
would
gave
think
him
that
one day.
Shane never played, so that's why he's got to hold on to those tapes.
You got to keep on to the hard copy.
Oh,
because
what do you know? You never played.
That is right.
Those people like that.
I did never play.
No, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, you never
I
played.
hate
sure.
that.
Hey, if I
Can
didn't,
I tell you?
if I didn't roll my ankle 7 times playing high school soccer, like I would have been on the U.S. national team.
Can I tell you?
Well, like
That's-
MLS at
come
least.
on.
Maybe not U.S. national.
Duncan McGuire over here.
I thought we were talking about
who
things
we
that
all
just
know,
are
by the way, like
outrageous that
90%
people
of us
say.
know. 90% of us know who that is, right?
Yeah, we know who
Okay,
Duncan
just
McGuire
making
is.
sure.
Yeah,
Just
he's just a goal scoring
you
machine.
don't,
Not a big
you don't
deal.
get the reference.
Duncan
Maybe you do.
Keith.
It's okay. No, before we get to talking high school football, which I think we're gonna maybe some
We will.
softball.
Hard to say.
because it was great. Like the you never played. What do you know? Crowd. I got an example for you. Here's one example, just one, and I'm sure there's a ton more. Buzz Williams, you know who that guy is? The head coach of Texas A&M men's basketball, who's making, I don't know, $5 million a year.
Is that good?
Ish, at least 5, right?
Yeah, because he
Feel
coached at Marquette
Marquette.
and then Virginia Tech and now at Texas A&M, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Okay. He's taken how many teams to the Sweet?
4.2 million.
Okay, 4 million,
annually.
over 4 million.
that's pretty good.
That's pretty good. How many teams is he taken to a Sweet 16? Are you on his wiki? Can you?
No, well, I can look it up. Yeah, I
was it
thought you
three?
would
At
take
least one.
Yeah, because Marquette did, right?
Yeah.
I
Virginia Tech
think he
didn't,
take
but
a
they made
Virginia
tournament.
Tech one.
Okay.
He's taken at least 2 different teams
He's
to the
been
tournament.
yeah, but I'm talking how many?
Well,
Sweet
he's
16?
10-9 in the NCAA tournament.
It's still not bad.
No, it's pretty good actually.
You know, how many Sweet 16s has he been to? At least one.
At least maybe two.
Okay,
second
minimum.
straight
Okay,
Sweet 16 with Marquette.
This is good. 2, right? Okay, 2's fine. You know how many games of basketball he's played in his life? Competitive basketball outside of noon ball? Like
0.
Never played.
0.
Pretty
Does
good.
anyone ever go to him and say, hey, he never played. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
They probably have, to be honest. Like they probably
early on, I bet they did.
But you know what you get. What
Not
I'm
anymore.
Saying. You get what I'm saying.
So
Right.
for what it's worth, at Marquette, he went Sweet 16, Elite 8 in 3 straight years. He made a Sweet 16 at Virginia Tech, so that's taken 2 different schools to a Sweet 16. And now he's got last year had Texas A&M in the NCAA tournament for the first time.
Never played a game. In his
Never
life.
has played, which is pretty good at
There you go.
basketball.
Okay.
Pretty
Okay.
good.
I just want to say.
I guess I could have scrolled down further to see all those things. I started reading the paragraphs.
He's made millions of dollars.
Oh, like dozens of millions of dollars. Like a
yeah,
lot.
lots.
Yeah.
Okay. So
tens of millions.
Just saying. He knows.
And he's turned around programs.
I'm not saying I'm him. I'm not. By no means am I saying I'm him. But you know,
Mike Sautter here saying he
that's
is
not
Bud
true.
Williams.
That is not true. I'm just, anyway.
No.
All right. I don't know why I even got on that tangent, but
no, just
fresh on the mind.
We just went right into what do we call that?
Sautter rants.
Yeah, when I.
All right, let's go back into your forte then, because you were all over the map yesterday doing a little 8-man.
It was just
football
Highway
coverage.
92. Like I felt like I drove on Highway 92 a little bit.
So where you said you got little to no sleep last night because you were working on all those stories.
The content after the fact.
So what games did you end up at yesterday?
I went to Osceola, Bruning, BDS, Bruning, Davenport, and Shickley. If you forget the Shickley, they
get mad. Yep.
And BDS won with a touchdown, like 30 seconds left to win on the road in the playoffs. So that was good. Connor Luce for BDS, actually a good player. So Eli Weber is actually really good, I thought. So number 22. Anyway, went there and then ran over to Cross County. Tanner Hollinger, Isaac Dickey. Tanner Hollinger is committed to Illinois as a tight end. Isaac Dickey, the fullback, commit as a walk-on to Nebraska. Noid's a good player there. Just was there for a little bit, like the first half-ish, because it was starting to get out of hand. And then went back to a great, when I say great, I mean a great 8-man facility in Shelby Rising City, hosted Elmwood Murdoch, and your boy left at the end of the third quarter.
What was that, like 50 to nothing
It
or
was
something?
50 to nothing at the end of the third quarter. So I'm like, I'm getting a head start on going home. So save myself.
What if
about
there was a
30 minutes.
Stanford comeback?
Nah, no chance. Running clock, it wasn't going to happen. So they got a really nice defense. The Verbka brothers, I guess, are not like Shelby's going to be actually pretty good for about a couple years here in a row. So they got full turf. It's a 100-yard turf field that they paint the 80, 40 and 80. And the stands are really nice. Track is really nice. It is. When I say the cornfield is right next to the track, I mean, it is.
If you build it, he will come type of field.
Yeah, it is less than 10 feet away from the track.
Really?
Oh, yeah. There's a fence, but I was like, whoa, that cornfield is right there. Like, I'm very surprised. So
you get a little nervous,
but it was
because
great.
It's Halloween
their
season,
facility,
so you walk out of the cornfield.
I've never been to a game in Shelby before, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
Like, the facility's great. Sound system, not so great, but
needs a little work.
Needs just a little upgrade. But everything else, it was nice. The turf is really well done. You can tell they don't use it like, overuse. It was
like a lot of small schools do.
Yeah, they have to, right? But there's a very many turf fields in 8-man. Johnson Brock has one, and it is an 80-yard turf field. So like built it just for 8-man.
Oh, nice.
And it's getting a little worn down though. And then Humphrey has one. I think like Why Not or someone else does up. Humphrey,
I don't know if Why Not has one, unless they
someone
just
up
got
north,
one.
Yeah, there's some at Crofton, one of those. I'm pretty sure has one, but there's not very many 8-man turf fields.
Crofton?
So something up
Crofton
northeast-ish.
No, I'm just trying to remember because it's been
maybe
3-4
not cross-
years
it's
since I
something
covered.
up that way. I'm pretty sure that has an 8-man field.
It would
so,
shock me if Why Not did, unless they had
Yeah, I don't
some
think
type
so.
of millionaire come out of the small town of 292 Why Not.
It is a great.
Crofton would make sense. Like Hardington CC, is that still grass?
It's not 8-man.
Oh, so we're just strictly 8-man in that
8-man.
area.
Yeah, something like that. Anyway, there's less than a handful, and that is like it was super nice. Humphreys is really nice too. That St. Francis and Humphrey High, and Humphrey High / Holy Family, if they're still together. I don't think they are co-opted anymore. But anyway, yeah, great. It was a good night. I had fun. Drove a little bit fast.
Sometimes you do that.
Gotta get where you're going.
Roads of Nebraska.
But we're talking like 3. So if you've never been down Highway 92 to Osceola or Shelby, Rising City, or these places, we're talking like within a 16-mile radius. I was able to hit 3 games. It was awesome.
That is great.
Yeah, it was great.
That's nice.
Yeah. Then I went home and I posted the photos and the videos.
Made some content.
Yep. And here I am today.
Thanks for being here.
We appreciate
headed
it.
to a big game tonight is Elkhorn South and Omaha North at Omaha Northwest. I say at Omaha North. That means at Northwest. They play their home games at Kinnick.
So that's probably
not that Kinnick.
No, different.
The other Kinnick. Same guy though.
Same guy, different.
Same
Kinnick.
guy, different
stadium.
Yeah, different
Same
stadium.
Kinnick, different day. So that one, the Elkhorn South, Omaha
Elkhorn South
North,
North game,
and Lincoln East Gretna are the best two Class A games tonight.
Is the one you're going to the Hurrdat Sports Game of the Week?
We're the Pinnacle Bank Game of the Week.
The Pinnacle Bank Game of the Week
is my fan vote. Where to send me poll is Elkhorn South at Omaha North, and the Hurrdat Sports big game
of the week.
Elkhorn
Big game.
South
So
at
it's
Omaha
double
North.
up.
Yeah,
You're gonna have a big
know
game
why?
chain there.
You want to know why?
Why is that?
Because
Did you only put one
Monday,
game on the poll?
No, on Monday.
I don't know why we had 2 million people vote for Omaha North.
It's not that much, but on Monday,
pretty close.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Whoa!
On Monday, it looked like Gretna Lincoln East was going to be the winner, or York at Grand Island Northwest was going to be the winner, and then it flipped. And so Monday, I was like, okay, I got to like get people ready, like where to send these people. And so I was like, all right, you guys go to this one, and if it wins, we'll just double it up.
Yeah.
So and it came back and won. I was not expecting it.
There you go. So you're going to be at Elkhorn South, Omaha North.
Yeah, should be a defensive.
So what are you expecting out of that one?
Yeah, like 24-17, something like that.
Okay.
Tight one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be.
Not a real barn burner.
The matchup, though,
it's a good matchup.
This matchup, like the line play matchup. Think about this: you have Ashton Murphy,
Tyson Terry
and
on the other side.
On the other side,
yeah.
Tyson Terry, and Ashton plays offense.
Mm-hmm.
They're both going to be defensive guys in college, but Tyson doesn't really play offense. So, like, they're just going to go.
But they'll be like a one-on-one.
You never really notice how
with,
big those two are until you stand
Ashton,
close to them on the sideline.
I mean, both lines are really big.
Yeah,
across
for
the
high
board.
school lines,
like
they're big.
for high school, like you look out there, they're pretty big. Like it'll be who can complete some forward passes, right? That's the thing. Elkhorn South, Brody Biscay has been good. I didn't emphasize. I just emphasized his name for
I thought you just did it because
just
that's
for
what
fun.
you like to do.
Just for fun, not. I didn't do that on what up. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, yeah, he's had a nice year. This is North's like first real test since week 2 when they lost to Millard West.
Okay.
North's schedule has been not great. When I say that, I mean like they played 2 teams with a winning record, I think.
Oof, okay.
Bell West and Millard West.
Yeah.
So non-district, like their district's been a little
rough,
light so far. This game is for a district championship, and both teams are going to make the playoffs. But it's kind of like who's going to be number 3, right?
Right.
Everyone fighting for like who can be that team. Because right now it could
West
be
side,
a number
Millard
of
South,
teams
and
and everybody.
Oh,
else.
you're just instantly slotting the side up to 1, Ravi?
Yeah, I feel okay about that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I feel. All
Hey,
right
what'd
about
you
that.
think about
Feel
that?
pretty good about that.
Not only the performance, and you
But
only
the
got
scores,
to like see
whatever.
it, right? But
I saw the clip.
what about the
of
play by
Kayl.
CB?
Yeah,
That's just him in a nutshell.
tossing it back to RJ Eckhart, not Ryan. Ryan is his government name. I've never heard anyone call him Ryan in my life. I think it's always been RJ. Like never heard of Ryan. Ryan,
Just the type of player
Ryan
CB
feels
is.
like when I was a kid and I got in trouble, my mom would say, Michael.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you know, the government part. So, no, yeah, he's a great kid. Like, I think anyone that's ever interacted with him would tell you that. Except for the Millard South football players on Friday night.
Like, were you shocked at all when you saw that happen? Like, I was shocked that he handed it off just because you would think, like, the natural football play is just to run it all the way in. But knowing the person he is, that didn't shock me one bit.
No, I think yeah, I mean, I wasn't shocked by that at all. Just dropping it off to his teammate. And also, you know, some people could take it the total wrong way and be like, oh, they're showboating and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And if you feel that way, then you just have some sort of vendetta.
You got other problems.
You're just a miserable human being.
You can't get over. Yeah, you just whatever. Like if you feel that way, then you just need to find something else to do with your life. So yeah, no, Westside's really good. We know that playoffs are coming. They'll be the number 1 seed when we release the brackets tomorrow morning. Live from Lincoln at 8 a.m. I will be our friends at Strive. We do the bracket reveal show behind the bracket, and we'll be there breaking down the brackets and not doing predictions because I don't like doing them. Because if you're wrong, people will tell you to your face. And like after a game, that happened to me a few years ago. They're like, "We heard you, and you didn't give us any respect."
Oh, so you were the motivation?
No.
Just you.
Yeah, if
Nobody
I'm the
else.
motivation, then
you got problems.
Hey,
Yeah.
you know, but speaking of Westside, you know, one more time, because I think about how dominant that team is. Is there a team in Class A that
Wakefield has the field turf, which is up that way.
Wakefield is sick?
I knew it was somebody up that way.
I like that.
So,
They were such a weird story too, because Wakefield was
lost
that
last
team that couldn't ever compete in playoffs because they had like the numbers to be 11-man, but they played 8-man.
Yeah, they opted down.
Yeah, do they still do that?
No, I think they played in the playoffs last night. So
Oh, okay. So
they didn't win.
So they're fine.
Yeah.
Maybe
No, that
they-
was Winfield. My bad.
Well, yeah.
I don't know off the top. Of
So
my head.
Winfield's the school or Wakefield's the school?
Wakefield has the turf.
The turf. Yeah, I remember just back. Gosh, this was 2019, so it could have changed since.
By the way, I
then.
got texted that by someone. I didn't just come up with that.
I assumed.
Thanks, Dallas. Thanks, Dallas.
But I'm curious. Maybe he can answer that question for me if they're still playing 8-man and can't make the playoffs.
Well, it might take a minute.
Nobody on delay. No, my question about
Westside.
The Westside though was, can you see a team in A that can take them down?
No.
Like, is that what would be the closest next team?
Millard South.
Oh, and we saw how that played out.
Yeah, but it was close. I mean, it was.
Yeah, it was a good. I mean, they were competitive, right?
For a minute.
For a while,
right?
I mean, because it was what
I wasn't there, so I haven't. I need to go back and watch the film.
17-0, and then Millard South came back a little bit, and then Westside put it away late. So, I mean, it wasn't
17-14 in the third quarter.
Right, but it was 17-0, and then it was 17-14. So
sometimes the scores can be deceiving as to how the game's going.
It wasn't close for that long, though.
Let's also look at it like this: is there was a constant 30 mile an hour wind in
the entire night,
the face of the offense the entire night.
Yeah, and it was
for both teams,
and it was there was rain off and on, so it was wet, windy, cold conditions, and so I don't know that was a great example for either team. I just don't know that like and I don't know obviously we don't know what the weather's going to be like. It'll be cold, right? But if they meet again in the playoffs,
I don't know. It wasn't last night.
That's true. It's supposed to be like 78 today.
80 during the day today.
So you assume by the time they would meet again in the playoffs, it'd be cold, but hopefully you're not dealing with 30 mile an hour winds that obviously affected both offenses. So it'll be interesting to see.
And then we got people cherry picking passes that were incompletions and putting it out on social media. See, I told you this quarterback wasn't good.
As far as
how about Vendetta, speaking of that guy. I don't know who that guy is. And if you listen to someone that can't put their name on their evaluations,
their name or face,
if you can't, if they don't say it out loud, then
especially if
those
they're
keyboard warriors.
hiding.
I mean,
You're hiding.
Thank you for your
You're
service.
hiding something. If you can't, if you should absolutely unequivocally say who you are. If you are bashing a high school person, and you are and you like to say you're a media talent evaluator, you should absolutely put your name on it, like your personal name. And for those people that don't, then I'm sorry, like I'm calling you out. Like it's not okay. I do that, and like
but your
I
name's
take
on
heat,
Your name's
and
on
I
it.
know it. It's part of the deal. Like
that's the job,
yeah.
right? I mean, I know that we don't like to be super critical of high school kids because they are kids, but like if you're evaluating,
there's a way to do it without.
Yeah, there's a way to do it without being unnecessarily nasty or whatever.
Anyway,
And
I just went up.
if
Another
you are
one.
if you are going to do it,
Sautter soapbox today.
Put your name on it. Like just put your name
That's
on
a good
it.
one.
You like that?
That's
gonna be this the whole 9 o'clock hour moving forward.
Sautter soapbox.
I love to see it. Before
Here, I'll take off my headset. You just go.
Before this segment is up, and we are keeping you for the whole hour here. But before the segment's up, I do want to ask. So I know Millard North won last night. I was very excited, making the playoffs.
They got
what? So what happened? I didn't see the game. Tell me what happened.
It was 6-0.5.
Yeah, and they ended up winning 21-10.
Yeah.
So, but they're in the playoffs, right?
Yeah,
that wasn't a confident.
They're in.
Yeah. They're in. So they're going to be what, like a 14?
Southwest was not great, bro.
That's fine.
Like,
I'm not saying they were awesome.
Like their new coach, all that they'll be Southwest.
They'll be fine.
Quarterback, all that Southwest. But like if you're Millard North, you should probably
have handled that a little more easily.
You probably needed to come away with that a little bit.
Well, listen, they won. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
Where are they going to end up?
They will be. I don't know, but they definitely are in the playoffs.
But they're in the bottom half.
A little bit of a dangerous.
I mean, they're playing
in the bottom half. So the likely home teams is Millard South. So West Side, Millard South, Kearney, Elkhorn South, Millard West, Plain La Vista, Omaha North. That's your 7.
Okay.
So they are going to have to go on the road.
Who's the team on your mind, Sautter, going into like we'll call them like the playoff bracket filling, that is like your surprise, like the one like the sleeper team in your mind, like the team that's like, if there's a team to make some noise, it's these guys.
Maybe Lincoln, Papillion or Lincoln East, maybe. I said Papillion at the beginning of the year. When even in our coaches poll, and
you were all over it,
and all the other polls, that are out there that do team rankings, I said
got a pretty good running back.
They are the dark horse, whatever, for sure. I thought at the beginning of the year.
You've been on them
after
early.
I went to their first practice. I was like,
was that the midnight one?
Yeah. So, they can make some noise. Because their line is pretty big and good. Like not just Eric Ingerson on the defense line. I'm talking their offensive line's pretty good. They don't get enough run, like their offensive line. And Peyton Prestito is
really, really
good. If
he's
not the best back, he's one of 3-4
handful.
So 37 carries for 322 against Prep.
That'll do it.
That'll play.
Yeah,
right?
that'll do it.
And that'll get you like cold, windy game.
That's a good fantasy number.
You need that.
Cold, windy game. You might need that.
That would be helpful.
So,
does it get cold and windy in
November in Nebraska?
November in Nebraska?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
That's why I'm holding out hope for my Mustangs with that ground game. Just pound it away, baby.
Bro, they got to stop a nosebleed right now.
Coming up next, we're going to get to some picks for the weekend for Andrew and myself. Sauter's going to stick around here on Hurrdat Sports Radio.
We will be back. 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 You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Big week for us. Huge week for us.
Out of the shotgun, Harvard. Hands, Grant leaping for it. Officials coming in. They are marking him short again. That is advantage Illinois right there. And just at the last moment, touchdown Nebraska.
Either you're so talented you don't have to do that. There's some teams that are so talented they have to get up for 3 or 4 games. We have to get up for every game.
The case of Nebraska bounce. Did the Cornhuskers pick it up? Nebraska's saying they have it. And they do. Wow.
Don't worry about what happens at the end of the year. Don't worry about what people are saying about you. Don't worry about the score. Just play football. You're a Cornhusker. Play football.
Harvard keeps a seam. Harvard lowers his head in the end zone. A touchdown for the Cornhuskers.
But once we figure this out, we're going to be a good team.
Altmaier steps up, and he's wrapped up and brought down. John Bullock, the linebacker, comes up with a sack.
Crack a little bit, like on Saturday, right? Like just different teams, right? How do you respond to adversity? We just got a lot of our adversity early in the year. We responded to it. What I want to see is us now for 6 games embrace adversity.
Another low snap. Altmaier steps up in the pocket. Throws middle. He's got his man, and a first out as the ball comes out. Tommy Hill has it going the other way, gets to his own sideline. Another big turnover for Nebraska's defense.
Those guys were ready to take the field. There was no worries. It was like, hey, they're going to go out there and ball, so let's go play.
Allmeyer running out of time. Right sideline, it's intercepted. Another pick thrown by Allmeyer. Quentin Newsom on the stop, and he's down inside the 15-yard line. Newsom's first interception of the season.
Oh, Flacker, that's like
If that gets you going, if the crowd gets you going, I'll adapt.
The crowd gets me going here on a Friday. Let's go.
Shane coming in hot with that.
Let's go.
What are you, like a Bills Mafia member breaking tables over here?
No, he's got to jump
gets
on
you
the
fired
table.
up. If that doesn't get you going, Andrew, then I can't help you.
I was going at 7.
It gets the people going. It's Hurrdat.
I woke up at 6:15. No, I didn't. It was like my alarm went off at 6:40, and I woke up at about 7:10.
It is a Friday on Hurrdat Sports Radio. Ravi Lulla here, Andrew Rogers, Mike Sautter.
I would not ask that question out loud and ponder it.
Mike Sautter wondering if
you're
he
supposed to
remembers.
say, I did brush my teeth.
I'm
this
debating
morning.
in my mind right now.
Ravi, just get a whiff of whatever's
I'm
in the
okay.
air. Is it liver and onions?
I'm
trying to think like, did I do it? Yep, I did. Okay. All right.
Okay.
I got like 3 hours of sleep.
Hey, there are those moments though, like even I think I've told you this before. I thought he was just taking off the headset.
You out?
There are those moments where I wash my hair twice in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Me too.
And I'm just your arms. You wash
Like,
the hair on your arms.
Did I shave my head this morning? I don't remember.
I can feel that.
Sautter,
That's
that
easy.
doesn't happen to you often, right?
No.
Who's
Who's your barber?
Me.
Yeah, he's
Actually, no.
self
I do.
barber.
I have like a beard trimmer barber.
You have a
that I
beard
go
guy?
to, that I been to once.
Do you,
I need to go
do you
back
walk
and
into
see
a
it.
barber and people are just like, "Why are you?"
Dre, my guy Dre. Nah, Dre.
You don't
Dre
forget
almost
about him.
No, it's my guy Dre.
Yeah, it was a joke there.
Dre Tart. I didn't get it.
Forgot
He lined my beard up once. It was
forgot about Dre.
fantastic.
So don't forget about him.
Oh, I got it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
That was
thank
over-
God it's Friday.
Over my
Yeah.
head. But not Dre.
Didn't touch any
Dre
hair.
It's
Tart-
because it's so aerodynamic. It's easy to go
Tart.
over his head with the aerodynamic.
I don't know the name of his shop, but it's up there.
It's up there.
30th and Lake or something. So,
Okay.
yeah.
You know how to get there. You just can't.
I've been there.
You can't find the street.
He lined me up, lined my beard up great. It looked great. My wifey was even like, "You should do that more." I'm like, "I should."
I should do that more.
And I haven't been back since July.
Well, come on, man. Maybe
Okay,
I'll go,
sorry.
Maybe I'll go with you. Get the beard. Get the
You
beard lined
should.
up. Yeah.
No, like even like your cheekbones.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
do it, all of it.
All right. Well, we'll see what
You
happens.
wanna
Me
go
too.
with me
Yeah, you
sometime?
too. Get it.
You
Yeah,
wanna
we'll go.
sometime.
Yeah,
You
maybe.
can't grow facial hair because
Hey,
you're 12.
don't talk about growing hair with me.
You're 12.
We've got some picks. We want to do some picks
Let's
this
do it.
week. This can be our version of the Warhorse Sportsbook cleanup since we're
Mhm.
making picks. That makes
Mhm.
sense that it'll be sponsored by our.
You told me we were doing picks, but you didn't give me the game.
No, you picked your own games.
Oh, well. You said this to me at 9:30 last night.
Yeah, you were up
Driving-
till 2:30. You had
driving
plenty of time.
That's like sending it to you at 5.
I'm driving down Highway 92. What do you want me to do with that?
I also told you didn't have to make picks. You could just comment on our picks.
All right, I'll do that.
That was literally the text I said.
So-
Hey, don't worry about it. If you don't want to make picks, you can just comment.
I'll give you a pick. Nebraska wins 28 to 10.
28 to 10.
I'm a 20-7 guy.
A cover. Isn't it 13?
12.
Yeah, they're
11
11 and a half now.
They're gonna
11 and a
cover.
half. Ooh, I think I'm going to go. We'll do Nebraska
28
first.
seems aggressive. Let's go 24 to 10.
24-10, barely covering there. I'm going to say
Maybe 10. I don't even know if they get
23 to 6.
Okay.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about 2 field
Tristan
goals.
Alvano gets his kicking game going.
Yeah, he's get 3 field goals. I
Mhm.
think he's go 3 for 4. The miss is a long one. 50 plus.
We're not missing field goals. Are we begging for misses on this show?
I'm not. No, I'm predicting. We're making picks here.
I'm
I'm making
pretty
my
sure
picks.
He's
that
making one
Illinois-
from 64.
I'm pretty sure when we talked about Tristan Alvano before the Illinois game, I said, yeah, they're going to win. It's going to be, 24 to 10 or 17
yeah.
or whatever it was, 24 to 17. He makes he goes 2 for 4 for field goals. I'm pretty sure it was close to
2
We
for
go
3.
2 for 3, and I'm going
Yeah.
2 for 3.
Yeah.
See, guys, I'm not in your mindset. We don't miss field goals on this team.
I mean, we do miss field goals on this team. That's
not this team.
Let's start off with college, because we're already talking about
You're a
Nebraska.
kicker. You look like a kicker.
Hey, I wish I was one. I love them so much. I wish I could be one.
Gosh,
Andrew, you want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
Where are we going? NFL?
Let's go college first.
College football?
Yeah.
Well, so I wanted to do like the 3 plays that I really like are Penn State plus 4.5, Minnesota plus 4.5, which would have faded Brian Edwards' play of Iowa -3, and USC -6.5. But we kind of talked about those yesterday, so I didn't want to do those again.
So you went a different
So
direction.
I chose three games that were completely different. The first one, Michigan State plus 24 against Michigan.
Not a chance.
Here's why I think.
So you think they
that
cover the big numbers?
So
ain't no way,
the
Jack.
spread over 3 touchdowns in this rivalry has only been done 3 times. And in all 3 instances, Michigan State is covered. And they even won one back in 2020. Now, the reason I like the plus 24, though, is not because I think Michigan State is going to put up a lot of points. I think that Michigan doesn't even reach the over on this game. So anytime you can bet the under and a team with a huge spread, I'm going to bet the team with the huge spread.
So what are you thinking, like 31-10, something like that?
I'm expecting Michigan to blow them out, but I'm expecting them not to hit the over-under, so Michigan State finds a way to cover.
It's a big number. That's a big number. All right.
So that's why I went with that play.
That makes sense to me. I went with Duke plus 14.5 against Florida State. I think Florida State wins this game. I don't think they win it by
Does
more
Riley Leonard play?
So I think yes. If he doesn't play, then I feel differently about this one. But what I was reading, I think he's going to play.
Duke's got a good defense.
That's the thing, though. Duke has a really good
14
defense.
and a half feels like a lot.
And
It
they're
does.
really, really
It feels
good
like a trap.
at limiting big explosive plays. Florida State lives off of those. To me, I think Florida State wins. I think you're looking at like a 7 to 10 point game, though. I don't think they blow Duke out by any means. So I like Duke on the points there, but I like Florida State to win overall. What's your second one?
I like West Virginia -3.5. I think they're a much better team than the line is giving them. They should have beat Houston last, Thursday? I think they were a Thursday night game. Maybe it was Friday. Now I'm second guessing myself. But regardless, Houston came back and won on that final Hail Mary play.
The Dana Holgerson Bowl.
Yeah, West Virginia is a much better team than, like I said, that this line gives them credit for. Defensively, Okie State is horrible.
Yeah, really bad.
And their offense
They beat
is
K-State,
not great.
though.
What's that?
They beat K-State.
They
did
did, but
beat
did you
K-State.
see the way that Kansas dusted them through the air? And that's what
Yeah.
West Virginia loves to do. They love throwing the football deep down the
Yeah.
field. The
Okay.
high-powered passing attack will push it to at least a 4-point victory.
Fair enough. My second game is Oklahoma -17.5 over UCF. I don't think UCF is very good. They've started giving up quite a few points. This is the Dylan Gabriel revenge game. UCF has been giving up a ton of points in their losses. I think Oklahoma is going to be able to score at will on them. I think they easily cover that 17.5. This is at least a 3-touchdown win for Oklahoma.
K-State is actually my last play.
Okay.
-6.5, and they play TCU.
Okay.
And I think the reason I'm
Okay.
going this way is because of the way they use a new kid named Avery Johnson. I mean, Will Howard took over for Adrian Martinez. Now Avery Johnson's kind of slotting in as that dynamic dual threat quarterback that K-State
And they're
likes
going
to
to
use.
They're going to play both of them, they said. So that's going to be
And I believe the computers have this out at -9 in favor of
There's
K-State.
another guy, Keegan Johnson. Another Johnson.
pretty good.
WS.
Not too shabby.
My last one for college, and I guess we're skipping the NFL this week. Alabama -9 over Tennessee. I think Alabama blows them out. I don't think Tennessee's very good. I think that team is wildly overrated. I know Alabama's got some issues, but I think they are dramatically better than Tennessee. That's a 2-touchdown win at least.
Here's the NFL play. Bills by like 28
By a
against the
million?
Patriots. Like sprinkle in an alternate total. Get them at like 13.5, 16.5, 20.5. They're going to kill the
See ya,
Patriots.
Bill.
My favorite one, I'm taking Lions +3 over the Ravens. Coming up next, we got Matt Vrzal.
We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio. Now let's find out what Matt Vrzal is better at. Telling stories or making pizza.
Matt.
Matt's an exceptional young man.
Matt Vrzal.
Happy birthday, Matt.
You know, Matt, he's a tremendous athlete.
Matt Vrzal.
Come on, Matt, I'm with you.
You know, like Matt Vrzal, you're one of the sexiest people in the world, but you're not one of the most beautiful. How does that happen?
Here is Matt Vrzal.
All right, Matt, thank you very much.
Wrapping up the show and wrapping up the week like we always do with our friend Matt Vrzal, former Husker, owner of Paisans Pizzeria. Verz, how are you this morning? Verz, how you doing?
What's up, Matt?
I'm good, boys. How are you?
Matt.
You got Mike Sautter here with you as well, with myself and Andrew.
I feel like I just talked to you, Matt.
I did. We did just speak.
Yeah, sure.
I love how Verz is so literal and like you
That's
were trying
because
to be
we
like
did,
a little
you
sarcastic.
J.A. Yeah.
Verz, how you feeling about Northwestern this week? I know Coach Rule has said like, hey, this is a good football team. But we can be honest here, right? Like, this is not a good football team. Nebraska needs to take care of business, right?
It's an off week. Even though it isn't the way you thought you'd get there, you're there. You're 3-3. You know, you're halfway. Your schedule on the back end sets up to get there, which was my only goal for them. New staff, new expectation, new everything. It gets overwhelming. And so to have them be where they are now, it's great. and they should be super excited because they know that they left things on the table in the first half of the season. So if you go out and you clean that up and you make yourself eligible, it's awesome. As I said on Big Red Wrap Up too, you get those last 4 games, you now sub in your red shirts and they still stay red shirts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You might find a diamond in the rough. You might find Sammy Sledge is better than what you got at guards. You're probably not going to start him, but you're going to play him. You might find out that Knutson provides the attitude you need. That harder ass mentality than what you've shown at times. You may find a defensive lineman that adds you depth to get you through 2 big games at the end where one of the teams. I don't know if those points from the basketball game that the ladies played at Iowa count toward fairness.
He might need them.
I hope so. No. Hoping for that because then he keeps his job.
It's good for the future of the Big Ten.
Iowa score. You give them Cooper DeJong intercept game against anybody but Nebraska. You house call all those. You keep them in the end zone. But you have everything you could ever want is right in front of you, right at your hands. You control your own destiny, and that's all you can ask for in life, is that I control where I'm going. And they have that chance. They should be super excited. And they should want to go out and curb stomp Northwestern. That's probably what I'm watching for. Do you have a bunch of killers? Are you going to go out, and if they get down, are you going to kick them hard? And I hope to get to see it. I really, really do. I hope they get up early, and I hope they keep the foot on the gas, and I hope they score half honored. I think it would do a lot for them.
When you said Sam Sledge, I pounded the table because I feel like I've been pounding the table for that kid for a while. We had a question that I'm curious. How many offensive linemen, and this is Ken on YouTube here, how many offensive linemen he thinks should be on a roster each year, 15, 20, or 10? Not sure he's talking high school or college.
Well, if you're okay, so roster imbalance, right, was something they were battling.
Right.
You had 19 defensive backs on scholarship. I think that is the actual number. I'm not being facetious there. But when you play, you make a brilliant move and you find the guy that runs the best 3-3-5 in the country and should be paid millions upon millions of dollars to hopefully continue on with us because he is going to be a commodity.
Mm-hmm.
But now you've taken that room and now you've used those assets. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Your offensive line room, you should really try to be 3 deep.
Yeah.
With scholarship guys in the lines. For sure, 2.5 to 2 and 3/5 full. So now you're not searching and hoping. But now you've also created a spot where you can take a chance on a kid, the Patel kid out of Albion. The EB kid down in Plattsburgh.
Right. Yeah.
You can give those guys a shot, and then there's not a rush to see if you can get a return on investment. You can take 2 years and develop those guys, and maybe they work their way into a starter. But right now they're a bit of a shot. But you get that shot. But you got to have ideally you have 15, but at a minimum 13, and it keeps you in balance in your recruiting. Right, your rooms are. If you can get 2.5 to 3 deep at all your positions on scholarship, every room, you're good. But when you inherit it and then there's 9, you're a little short.
Yeah, is it that EB kid's pretty mean, huh?
Yeah, he is. Hey man,
they're good.
And Plasma dude's about to. Everybody laughed at me.
No,
who's your dark horses? My dark horse still now is Plasma.
They can really run the ball. They're super tough, physical, and 44. Kayl Backins is my guy, which actually you told me about him before. He was my guy, so it could be both of our guy.
I think that's still Versus guy.
He's a dude. He's a bad, MF word.
That's a bad mofo.
Yeah.
He got, you got one. little buddy's head is like a bowling ball.
Yeah.
And his neck starts low earlobe, like maybe mid earlobe.
Yeah. He's tough.
The amount of S's he gives about you or your feels is negative. He does not give one.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to stick with the high school team here. You guys got the dub last night, but a little tougher than maybe thought. How good's Gross, maybe?
We, you know, those games, again,
rivalry-ish, right?
Gross kids are tough.
Yeah, South O boys.
If the Nosbish kid, and I don't know what grade he is, if he is, man, a little taller, and if he's like a sophomore, just write the name down. I don't know grades. I know numbers. They called his name 47 times last night. He's been on every tackle. But he puts on another 20 pounds. You better know him. You better natural instinct, aggressive tackles. He got after your boy Maxwell Chandler pretty good, and they were jawing.
Yeah, that's my guy.
Chandler didn't headbutt anybody, so that's good. But another one about that life.
He said we got a comment. He's a senior.
Damn, really?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Somebody,
if he wants to play in college, somebody's gonna enjoy that one, right?
Or if he just goes and as a student, somebody's intramural team is about to win a ship. Because that dude, I'm guessing even if you're playing like flag football, he ain't backing down. He wants all the smoke. But they had a great game plan. They did some really good things. We mentally made some mistakes that we don't make. And, you know, it's a learning trip. We came off a big win. We needed to be a lot more mentally sharp than we were, and we did. Fortunately, we were able to get the win, and we get to go to the playoffs, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Verz, let's bounce back to Nebraska here. If you were in the locker room today, a senior on this 3-3 team that's been a part of so many struggles over your time at the school, what's your message to the young guys in this moment on game day or, you know, leading up to game day about the importance of winning this game in particular to set yourselves up for a productive second half of the season?
I take it back a step, and I say just win your next play. Just win. Just keep it as minute and simple as possible. If that's a practice rep, win that. If it's a lift, win that. And if we steal from Major League, if we start to win all those and you get on a single repetition win streak and everybody's on that single repetition win streak, then we can go still achieve goals we have for our season. But we got to do it together. If you want to go rogue and you want to do something on your own, please just check in your S, because we can't do that. We don't have that. But if all of us get on board and do everything together, we can go someplace. But if you want to do something individually, you're going to have to pack your S and leave.
Someday you and I should do like an hour, just unfiltered, like on the YouTubes, you know, where you can just where you don't have to, you know, you can say what you want. You don't have to abbreviate the words. I think that'd be fun.
Every Sunday morning, I get the opportunity.
You want me to stop by one time?
Yeah, if you want to.
I think there'd be a lot of cussing.
Really? You too? I'm shocked.
Verz, as we get out of here, about 15 seconds left. You said you're hoping Nebraska takes care of business and drops like half 100. Is that how you think the game's going to go?
Honestly, my guy, I don't try to guess anymore. I just have to watch it and see what happens.
Fair enough.
Fair enough.
Should happen.
We appreciate your time as always. We will talk to you again next week. Have a good weekend, Verz.
Thanks, Verz.
All right, boys.
Yeah.
That's the show for the week. We'll be back next week here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities, KFOR in Lincoln.